there's other priorities start kicking in as well. I thought maybe, again, I actually really genuinely believe that this is my last window. This is the last opportunity I'm going to have. If I want to win, I've got to do it. So I just approached training completely differently. I was like, right, I'm going to train really hard. So I did a little bit of stuff in August to stay fit, ready for August the 1st. There's an erg test down at Thames. And even I was shocked when I rocked up on September the 1st, how seriously they took it from there.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to Last Stroke Counts. Today's guest is a Henley winner and a die-hard club rower, Dan Boddington. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much for having me, gents.
Thanks for coming, Dan. In your busy schedule, full-time job now. That's classic club rower separation, isn't it? From what the other guys are doing, who we also speak to. But yeah, no, again, we talked about this before. We bumped into you at Henley. And I think it was a combination of people had been saying that they'd love to hear some more sort of club stories and more relatable rowing stories, and not to put anyone down on that, but just because not everyone wants to row for GB. And I think some of those things. And then combined that was I was doing some research for Henley because we were on the commentary, and I was listening to the Thames Cup final, and the commentators mentioned about how I think they said that your first Henley was 2009.
Yeah.
Have you done every single Henley from 2009 to 23, or did you miss a few?
Tried to most of them. I've missed a few, but honestly, when you asked me about Henley, I thought we had the wrong Dan. I was like, no, it's fine. They really love the Dan. And I was trying to rack my brains who it was.
And did you look it up? So how many have you done?
Yeah, I think I ended up with I think it was that sort of 15 campaign, or sort of 15 years.
Yeah.
Minus one for COVID. I think it was 11 or 12. I've got it written down somewhere.
Nice.
A couple of those non-qualifiers. But
Was that in a single?
Yeah.
We'll get onto that later, right?
Yeah. So let's start as we normally do, I guess. How did you find rowing in the first place?
Yeah, interesting one actually. I think not a classic sports person when I was younger. I was quite round, into a Warhammer.
Oh, right, so was I.
Played a bit of hockey. There's nothing wrong with Warhammer.
What did you? It was just
Ultramarines every time. Space Marines.
No,
it's so
Blood Angels. Oh. Space Marines were Blood Angels because Ultramarines was just too
cliche, really, wasn't it? So
this is only podcast for another day.
Only Henry Cavill, the actor, can make.
I love it. Yeah, have you seen that? It's like, should we?
Yeah.
How quickly boys make friends.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fun, but it doesn't keep you fit.
No, not at all. No, I tried a bit of hockey because my dad was a hockey player, and he played in the England team for a while. And I think I was a goalie, a natural goalkeeper, mainly because of sort of percentages. And then I think Mum rowed actually down at Henley Rowing Club, and then one of her best mates, we all called Auntie Ruth, rowed as well, and I think I was about 11 or 12, and they convinced me to come out and jump in all the singles, and I fell in at the other end of the river, down at the marsh. It's a marsh lock, the other end of the river.
Yeah.
The start end. And November, freezing. And Ruth was like, well, you just got to get back in again. What are you going to do? You can't just swim from here against the current. So to try to get back into this boat in the middle of the river, aged about 11 or 12. And just really loved it. I mean, I think I then went to school. I was at Abingdon, just around the corner. And I was in the boarding house. And the boarding house is a bit hard and a bit tough. I hope it's changed, because it wasn't a fun experience by any stretch of imagination. Being a kid who likes Warhammer, being a bit round, being a bit of a loser, you can be a bit brutal, especially sort of locked away for 6 hours, 7 days of the week.
Yeah.
I had a master who rowed, and he was like, Dan, you should give it a go, see how you get on. And so I think it was a bit of an escape, actually, in the evenings. You got away from, so is that.
When you first got introduced to rowing, did you first go out on the water, or did you have a bit of a period on the rowing machine?
Yeah, it's sort of classic, right? A little bit on the rowing machine. You learn how to row. I think Lavinia coached me down at Henley Rowing Club. Really? I was actually, thinking about it. I was looking through some of the notes. Yeah. So that was a bit of a blast from the past. And then, and then I think just took up a little bit at school. and was terrible. I was assistant timekeeper. Like, I wasn't even good enough to be timekeeper. I was assistant timekeeper, and I think I got a bit like, I think it was a bit one of those things where you sort of get the bit between the teeth a little bit, like, well, I don't want to be bloody timekeeper. I want to be in the sea boat. Yeah, okay. So I did a bit of training in the evening. So I think, yeah, there's a bit of an escape from getting away from the boarding house. So you didn't have to be in the mix with all those lads. And yeah, and just did a bit of training, and I seemed to break into all the boats one year, and it was good. And then we had a nice group of us at school as well. Like, we had Rossers,
names.
yeah, like Rossers, the Kirks, Vass, the Copai, Jamie Rory, like
Copai.
yeah,
Love it.
there was Tim Clark, which I think there's such a good group of us as well. We're all still, it was really nice. We're all still friends as well. And then I think we hit sixth form, and then we had Pete Haining coaching us. He's as mad as a box of frogs, right?
A name that keeps getting told that we have to get him on.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, him and Athol were sort of these two lads who, I mean, they were fantastic. We were really, really lucky. 'Cause I think they unlocked. They were perfect for like 16, 17, 18-year-old lads. Those guys coaching us were perfect. Athol was just desperate to win. That's all he ever wanted to do. And then Pete was just a bit bonkers and had us just doing mad stuff. Like, I mean, all sorts of weird training sessions where there's like 660 weight sessions where we just keep doing weight. Like, you do 60 reps, and he'd come up, if you're doing squats, he'd come up behind you. If you didn't think you'd do it fast enough, he'd like flick the back of your legs, and he'd be like, "Keep going, laddie, keep going!" Like, screaming into your ear. I mean, he's bonkers.
Bit of a culture shock from Henley Rowing Club coaching them.
Yeah, well, again, like being a bit of a junior lad, just hacking around on the weekends, to then, doing it properly, right, and training really, really hard. I think what was really nice is those guys sort of unlocked quite a bit from us. So you look at that group of lads who went through, and we're all really good friends. I think that's probably the biggest thing. And you've got some of them have done amazingly well. Like the Rosters, the Kirks, Tim Clark. So
Senior, there's a whole bunch of senior vests. Some 2 Olympians, loads of under 23 medals. Yeah,
you should have asked them on.
I was going to say Athol. We've not really had anyone who's been coached by Athol. Is he still at Shrewsbury now?
I think he's still at Shrewsbury. Yeah.
How was he as a coach?
Yeah,
people say good things.
He was desperate to win.
Yeah,
I think because you got Radley around the corner, and there was like a good competitive nature. I think so. Athol's South African. I think John Gearing was as well, and I think those two had a real rivalry. And Athol was like, and he really just desperately wanted to win Henley. That was his big thing. Was just winning. They did it.
When was your last year at Abingdon?
You mean 2010?
I reckon I was fixing the eggs by then at Abingdon.
Yeah,
was at Athol before
the wooden boathouse.
Yeah, putting the wooden boathouse. Yeah.
Mad.
Small world. I think Austin was the boatman.
Yeah, Austin. Yeah, he had amazing. I think he had a VW. Did he have a VW?
Yeah,
nice
he's well into VWs. Yeah. We've spent many conversation about that.
But that final year, I didn't make it into the first day to start off with. I was ninth man in the second day. Well, everyone's ninth man, right? Although if you don't win the first day, but I remember again, maybe it was just a bit of trying to get away from the boarding house or whatever, but just try to do everything I could to train. I thought, well, either like one of two things will happen if you train really hard. Either you'll make the 8 lads who are your mates go faster, and they'll be better for it, or maybe you'll just be able to break in as the 8th man. But we got to like the week before Nat Schools, and Athol turned around. I was in the second day, and Athol turned around and said, "Right, lads, we're going to do a 2K erg test. Senior squad go." Like the Saturday before Nat Schools in the following week. And I remember just thinking, like, rocking out to it, I was like, right, I've got to pull something out of the bag on this one. And I leathered myself as hard as I could in that middle bit, just to like hang on for dear life. I did all right. I think it was 2 of us who finished some sort of time and got off. And I was like, I properly wanted to be in that boat. And I remember turning around to Athol and being like, I fucking dare you to leave that ergo out of the crew next weekend at Nat Schools. And Athol was one of those guys who I love that sort of shit. Like, he just he seemed like smile a bit, and he was like, all right, I'll go sit down over there. And so the other lads finished, and he said, right, first day and Bodders, let's go have a chat. So the first day, Rory Capes cocking that, and then me as 9th man, and he was like, right, boys, him and Pete sat there, right, lads, we've got you, Dan, you did 620 or something, 93 kilos, a few cakes at lunchtime. And then the other lads who'd done like 630 something, 89 kilos. You're like, guys, we can't separate you. We need to pick the top eight guys to get in this crew. So what we're going to do is we're going to put Dan and this other lads, what's their name, they're going to chuck you up onto the beams, because that wooden boathouse, right? And the last man standing gets a seat.
Just hang test.
Yeah, and we're literally like eyeball to eyeball like this, probably no far away than you guys are now. And I'm thinking, God, I can absolutely like deleted myself on that 2K to try and get a decent score. And yeah, you've been in that wooden boathouse. It's got like splinters sticking out the beams like this.
Yeah.
So set ourselves up, licking fingernails, like digging into the beams. Like, I'm not letting go of this. You've only got one opportunity. Like, you may never get an opportunity ever again to do that. You may never get an opportunity to row down at Henley at school ever again. So you've got to do it. And we were literally there eyeball to eyeball. And the last man standing got the seat. And somehow I managed to hang on and did it. And that was my seat race to get into the first day. And the next week, went down to Nat schools and did all right with the guys.
That's an epic story.
So good.
Yeah. Why'd you lick your fingernails?
Oh, I don't know. It was a bit dusty. It was just like, maybe get a bit extra grip on it. And it's just like, yeah, there's a proper like oak wooden boathouse. You got like dig your fingernails in until.
I guess if you can't split it by performance, then I guess it's just like the head game, isn't it? Who's got it? Who can hang on.
I think that's that whole thing, right? It's just who was hard enough.
He wants it more.
Yeah, same thing with Pete. But
that's wild.
Yeah.
So how
not a traditional sea race. Like I'm not recommending other coaches out in this to be like, right, all my sea races are going to be beam hanging. Like it was pretty brutal. You know, if you put yourself in the other lad's shoes, like.
I'm glad we got that story there, because like it sounds pretty similar to the jam sandwich. It's just like something completely random, but like just to prove a point.
But yeah, there's so much more data and accessibility out to other ways to do it. But yeah, sometimes that's just what it comes down to, I guess.
Yeah.
So how was racing at Henley that year after you earned your seat?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. So we had the Belmont Hill race and Rory's coxing race on the Friday.
Infamous.
Yeah, I mean, I watch it back every now and then, and I think Al mentioned it the other week, didn't she? And that was an amazing race, actually, like properly as a group, 8 of us lads really believed. We just knew we were going to do it. I think we had this in our head, like we're going to absolutely delete these guys. And then like we'd heard, and I don't know, this may be complete rubbish, but Pete and Athol had been up at the draw on the Sunday. It was on Saturday up at the town hall. We weren't allowed to go, like that's got to be in resting off your legs. And they came back and said, yeah, this is American crew. Like, oh, it's so great. You know, we've got the Buck station to race Eden on the Sunday. And Pete was like, lads, we're not letting them get to a fucking Sunday like this. And we're like, yes, Pete. Like 17, 18 years old, so impressionable.
That could have been just the Haining Games.
Yeah, 100% it could be.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but probably got us revved up for the whole week.
No.
And those boys, everyone knows the video, went off like howling banshees, and fair play to, George and Tim dragged us most along the way. And what you can't hear, if you turn up the video loud enough, you can hear Pete Haining on the bank. So he's on a bike, like cycling along towpath for pretty much as far as you can get, just screaming at us in this ear. And like, she's got Pete just absolutely screaming stuff at us there. And yeah, maybe it worked, I don't know. But
I heard a story that with Peter Haining would, not even because he was interested in watching other boats, but he would ride up and down the bank and he would wear his cap like this, so that he could look at the crew. But if they look over, it looks like he's cycling forward.
He had all sorts. We were at that schools one year. He knit an Eton bib. You know, like, you boys obviously big, but Nat Schools have got these blue bibs, and they've got like the Nat Schools logo on it. And at the bottom, they've got like ETN or ABN or whatever. He nicked one of the Eton bibs, and he went up and started measuring the Eton blades, and he came, lad, don't worry. I got their rigging. Don't worry. I know exactly what they're on. I'm like, Pete, this is so wrong with so many levels.
I remember that feeling Hill telling us that he would do that at World Cups.
Yeah.
He has no interest in the numbers. He just knew it would wind up.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, such head games, isn't it?
I love how like a bunch of 17-year-olds had to talk some sense into Pete Haining.
I was doing chance.
No.
But yeah, then we raced Eton on the Sunday and they smashed us. I mean, fair play to them that year. That first show.
Stan.
Yeah, Stan Ludis, Mike Evans, Namby Luxmore, Jopling, I think all those lads. Yeah, they were unbelievable. They won that schools by so much that people thought like we'd won because we came second. And they were just so fast, and fair play to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So from barely making the boat to making the Henley final, though, in your final year, that's pretty good, no?
Yeah, it was all right. I think it's just nice. I think you're just lucky more than anything else. But
Everyone needs a bit of luck.
just
Not a bad thing.
yeah, I think there's probably an element of like I did a lot of ergos in the evening in the boarding house. You get away, you finish school at 5:30, and then you can get off and do whatever you wanted to do. And to get away from all the other lads, I just went and sat on the rowing machine and did a hour at 8:19 or something.
Was that, like you said, was a big motivation? But what were the other things about rowing that kind of kept you going back to that sport, especially not having been in sport before?
Yeah, I think it's your mates, right? It's your friends. It's like you guys, like seeing what you guys do at Rogo is amazing, and just
Thanks.
yeah, like there's such a nice community when you go down, and regatta's great fun. Like you walk along, you bump into everybody. You like 10 minutes you're going to be to walk to the regatta, and it's like 4 hours later, and you paid about 30 yards because you're chatting to everyone. It's just
we busted to you lot, and I was talking to sort of you, and Pete was talking to someone else, and then we walked back up, and Pete was like, "Oh, I didn't know that guy's engaged to Yasmin." I was like, "Who?" He was like, "Oh, the guy in the wax jacket." I was like, "No, that's Ollie State." Like, no, he said he. I was like, "No, he's not." I don't know, no idea at all. I was like, that's amazing. Isn't it good when like two of your friends?
Yeah, it's so it's just yeah. Cool. So it's such a lovely group. I think that's quite nice. So you also got trying to get away from something, then to finding like a group of people that are really nice. And like I said, everyone in that Abingdon crew that year, we're all really good mates with each other. We all get on. I was at best mate's wedding last weekend. Tim Richards. Just super lucky, right?
The other thing about rowing isn't it's like I've got mates from rowing who like if we didn't row, we have nothing else in common. Like we couldn't be further away in our lives, but rowing was like the common thing. And I think it doesn't matter. Like no one gives a shit if you play Warhammer 40k or not. Yeah. If you got a 620, you got a 620. Like the markers are different. So I guess maybe you can get away from those things, those other ways that you're judged as a kid, maybe.
I think if you've got a monster ergo, like the fact that you play Warhammer is even more impressive. It's like some bragging rights, right? Like, I play Warhammer, but I've got a 557. So what are you going to say to me, right?
Yeah, it's performance based. You prove yourself with your performance, and everything else doesn't really matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it's really objective in that sort of sense.
Well, what Dave Bell said is basically as long as you're willing to kind of be a supportive member of the team, you'll be accepted. So if you don't go around trying to be a dickhead to everyone, I'm pretty sure you're going to find like your tribe in rowing, and thousands of people do it every year.
Yeah. So, was your uni choice heavily influenced by rowing?
Yeah, a little bit. I sort of did want to row and keep having a crack at it because I really enjoyed it, but then also, wanted to go somewhere. I didn't fancy coming into London.
Did you ever trial as a junior?
Yeah, I was that sort of the funny year where September baby. Yeah, so you like
1 year
missed
junior.
out, and I was a 1 year junior. So I didn't really, don't really think you sort of miss out on it, and it just is what it is.
Yeah,
you got to draw the line somewhere. So
you could still do home countries as a 1 year junior, which is quite a nice touch.
Yeah,
you can't do like Coop or
we did. So I think half the lads went off to junior worlds in that year, and the other half of us, I think that's good. Tim Clark, me, another lad Jack, we went off and did home countries for England. It was great fun. I mean, it was just a beer crew by every sense of the imagination.
Did you win?
Yeah, we did.
Nice.
What's going on?
You know they don't do the parties anymore.
They're not.
No.
God, one of those. There was one of the coaches one year. We managed to fill up. We got one of the trophies. Managed to convince the guy behind the bar to fill it full of beer. And just going around with all the coaches, getting them to like swig from this trophy. And it's just, again, age 18, you think you've conquered the world, don't you?
Yeah, I work with the Welsh team now as well, and I'm not with the juniors, but I know all the junior coaches and stuff, and a lot of them have come through, and like everyone says the same thing. It's like, as a junior, it was amazing to like sneak some beers and get super drunk, but like all of a sudden when you're in charge of the junior, they couldn't handle it and is in the toilet and then you're like, oh god, okay, yeah, so you see why we don't do this anymore. But that was good. So Durham, you sort of was like, let's see what else I can do to not feel like you haven't sort of finished. Yeah,
tried. So applied to Durham and didn't get like any of my uni choices. I was doing something wrong in my final years, ended up taking a gap year and just loved rowing.
Doing something wrong as in rowing too much.
Yeah. Maybe. Just whatever. Rowed back at Henley Rowing Club again.
Yeah.
So Henley Rowing Club take 2. Giving another crack under Carl Reed.
We love Carl.
Yeah, he's a lovely, lovely man. He's amazing.
I had no idea Carl coached you at Henley.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
He's so nice.
Yeah.
And again, I saw this 19-year-old who's just a bit rabbit headlights, not really knowing what's going on. So I think parents turn around and say, "We can live at home, like you need to pay rent." Okay, fair enough. So I ended up working as a builder that year. I sort of done like in the summer, one of Dad's mates, John, I still see I go fishing with on the weekends.
So,
He's a builder. He's like, "Well, if you want to come and do a few hours, earn a bit of cash," I was like, "Yeah, fair enough." And everyone's sort of thinking like builders, like perception of builders is like, "Oh, they're bloody lazy, rock up at whatever time and knock off at 4 o'clock." But I think like that was completely opposite. Working with him, it was hard graft.
I remember you telling us a story about repointing bricks and being so cold you could like barely hold the gear. And
yeah, it was like December when it was like freezing, and we were up the top of this water tower with about 10 lifts of scaffolding. And we sat there, me and another mate Simon. We just sat there trying to repoint the saw. We were pushing all the cement in between the bricks to redo it. And we're doing half an hour at a time, running down the scaffolding and jumping in the car trying to warm up. I mean, it's just bonkers. But I mean, that was amazing. It was like doing a whole day's worth of weight training. I mean, because I was hoddying as well. So you're running bricks around for all the bricklayers and mixing up cement and stuff, and you're just working as hard as you can. And and then sort of I'd rock up to any race club about 4 o'clock, and we finished. We used to start at 7, and then finish at 4. I'd have an hour and a half kip in the car waiting for the lads to rock up and finish their normal jobs, and then we'd go out and pace ourselves up and down the river doing that. And that was another Henley campaign, I think it was the Friday that year with a few lads. With Tom Cannon, actually. He's coaching TC's in that crew. Where's he coaching?
He's moved from Surbiton now. He's now head somewhere else. I can't remember where. But I started at the end of it and we used to live together.
Yeah, of course, Oh, this is amazing.
I know.
Still pulling all these threads. This is what it's all about, really. I love it.
Because we joined Leander there. We were there for 6 weeks and then we signed the contract on this place for a year. And then like 3 days later, he gets cut from Leander. But it's because he was supposed to be a lightweight and he turned up for the 2K ergo test at like 86 kilos. And they were just like, come on, mate.
No amount of suffering is getting you down, is it?
But then he went down to Henley. Had a good time down there. I was still quite jealous, to be fair, because I remember we would leave the house in the morning like half an hour before and get down to Leander and you'd have to wait for everyone to have this meeting. And by the time you've sort of got everything out and you're on the water, he's already finished his first session and gone in. But yeah. He's a good lad.
World.
What did you guys row in that year? Was it a sculling crew or a sweep crew?
It was a 4. Cox 4 on the Y fronts.
Cool.
Y fronts, sorry. It was really good fun actually. Again, 19 years old, those lads took me under my wing a bit, and very grateful. And TC showed me how to get pissed on a Friday night, didn't it?
It's great. Definitely learned that.
Yeah. Rock up training in the morning.
Yeah, how to get pissed and how to train on afterwards. Yeah, and that's something Brooks does really well.
Well, apparently not anymore. Apparently they're like up their game. I guess the 13 Henley medals in 2 years are sort of proving that story. But I was wondering, so like, for example, you started when you were really young, and then that's quite a few years later, you've gone back to Henley for Take 2, etc. What is it that kept you coming back to the sport or like continue to want to train? Like, for example, when you applied to university, etc., did you apply with like your career in mind, or was it like a specific field that you wanted to go into and you used rowing as a stepping stone, or like what was your entire outlook on like what you wanted to do in the sport?
Yeah, it's interesting. Sort of, it's quite I think the rowing side was quite natural. Yeah, I found something I really quite enjoyed. I had a good group of mates. Was all right at it. I had a go, and I think fair play going back to sort of Pete and Athol, fair play, like unlocking some of that sort of ability, that belief almost. I think very lucky. And then just fancied going off and doing. I did physics at Durham, which I still don't understand what's going on. I had a lecture in the final lecture in my final year, and I put my hand up and asked a question. He was like, "Oh, he's Austrian guy, right?" And he's like, "Oh, if you don't know the answer now, so there's no point sitting the exam in 2 weeks." I was like, "Wow, that is miserable."
Brutal.
Yeah, that's so sad. It was like, I put my hand out. I said, "Oh my god." I think I fancy doing physics. I think honestly, I sort of look back now and go, maybe I didn't quite know what I wanted, and just there's a couple of things you pull together. Rowing was sort of the one thing you're like, well, I'm quite good. I fancy having going at Durham, all right. I might be able to get into Durham with my grades at uni. It's half decent uni. It's
Good uni, yeah.
yeah, like it's up in the north somewhere, far away. See how we get on type thing. That was probably it. More than anything else, it's probably a bit more fortuitous than just dropping into place. But I think some of it, sort of the motivation to do well at rowing, I think probably came. It sounds a bit cheesy, a bit corny, but from mum and dad, right? Like mum had done quite well at rowing. She'd been at Henley. She rowed at Henley Rowing Club. She got to like the final of Women's Henley in like the year that I was born, in like the June, and I was born in the September. I mean, it's probably like a big old bump on there, like rowing along. So
sick.
You can say that I rowed in the final.
Women's Henley.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, the youngest competitor.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, no, I think probably. And then I think my dad played hockey for the England team. I remember sort of going and seeing some of his mates. Oh, your dad was such a great hockey player. I was like, okay, well, it was cool. I didn't really understand it, type of thing. And we were watching the London Olympics 12 years ago. It was today. And we'd asked Dad, for his birthday's around that sort of time, and asked him, do you want to go? Can we go to the Olympics? Should we get you tickets? So one of your mates is commentating. You got some people are playing. He's like, far over, watch it at home. Much better coverage, like this sort of stuff. Anyway, sort of watching it along, and he sort of turns around and goes, God, I wish I'd gone to the Olympics. And obviously the three of us watching it, Mum, my brother, and I, turn around and say, well, we offered you tickets. We would have bought you tickets. Like, we had this conversation. He's like, no. Like, I wish I'd gone to the Olympics. And I don't know if that like triggered me a little bit as well. And that's sort of 2012, a little bit later, but it's a bit like, well, give it a go. Like, you've only got the opportunity. You've only got that window. Don't lose it. Give it everything. At least if you do everything you can do in it, and you do everything to the max, at least you can turn around and say, well, look, I gave it 100%. I gave myself the best opportunity. I had a great time whilst I went along with it. It maybe wasn't meant to be, not tall enough, not strong enough, whatever, but I had a good time, and at least I can look back and say, well, I did everything I could. So yeah, I don't know, maybe that sort of motivation, like keep going and just giving it a crack.
We talked about this before as well, and just it's a thing in business, but it's if you put everything into going to the Olympics and you really put everything in, and you sit down and you learn and you study and you learn how to have good timekeeping and balance job and work and life and look after yourself, even if you don't make it, you still get everything from trying.
Yeah,
you still have, like, the medal is great, but the real value in is all the other things that you've achieved and done in order to aim for that. So it's the sort of the shoot for the stars, isn't it? And you'll hit the sky. But yeah, I think there's so much more, especially having spoken to everyone doing this, you realise that, like, yes, that's amazing, but also, like, everything that you learn from it, the friends you get, like, the experiences, like, it's pretty gold as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't knock it. You can't. I don't think I've ever experienced anything in life outside of it that comes close on one level. Work's an interesting one, because you've got some people who want to be there and want to work really hard. Other people are like, well, this is just a job, right? It's a 9 to 5 for me. So you never have that full encompassing. Everybody here just wants to do better every single day. And it doesn't matter whether it's, I'm actually the GB team, or whether you're at Leander, or if you're club level or at school or uni or whatever. Like, it's a group of people who all want to do, who all sort of have a single goal and want to do better. And again, the journeys you go on, you learn how to do things a bit better, but differently.
I think it was
do and try.
Maybe it was Matt Aldridge who said, or someone said, that they were talking to Sam Townsend about it, and he said his advice for rowing in GB was, you will never again be in a group of people with the same, like, single-minded focus. And that is, like, the amazing thing. And I remember I've told this story before, but Ed Cordwell went and worked in London for Virgin and ended up hiring some people. And he's just like, these people are like turning up half an hour late and saying, sorry, I got in traffic. And he was like, we come from a world where anyone would do anything to get that place in the boat. They will hang from the rafters for as long as they can. And now you're in, like, the workplace, and people are like, so I was a bit late. Like, you failed the job interview. If you can't get to the job interview, we used to get told in rowing, on time is 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
Like, so like that, and I still work by that. And that's why late people annoy me, because if you're 10 minutes late, I've already been here 20 minutes now. Like, you're making me feel like
I was 10 minutes late today.
No, I think Tom was looking at me with that particular.
No, not specific, nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, this is like talking about all these little things, these little tricks and tips in, like, high performance, and how actually you sort of forget, like, how applicable they are.
And you can't really take it outside of rowing. I mean, you're not really gonna, maybe Dave Bell and his work, but no one's really gonna do like performance analytics on like your spreadsheets at the end of the day, or like how you did like with the sales calls and whatever people do in their 9-to-5s, etc. Like,
but we do. So like,
yeah,
maybe
maybe
like
but we did because we took the rowers mindset to this business. So we're kind of rowing a pair.
constantly evaluating ourselves, our work, how we go about doing the job, how things are laid out. Is that the parts in the toolbox could be different? You know, you just that. Like, how could it be better?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a fair amount. Maybe it's not to the same level, but there's definitely a fair amount of learnings you can take from that into the workplace. And as you work, I mean, we sort of work in quarters. You sort of you set yourself out. We want to do that quarter, and then you review at the end of the quarter, and you go, okay, what worked, what didn't. Or, you know, especially in what I do is you sort of run an experiment to see, okay, we think we've got this problem with people on our platform who can't do X. If we change, the user flow, or we change how the software looks, we'll see if it works. We'll review, does it improve it a bit better? If it does, let's double down and make it better. And if it doesn't, let's try something else until it works. So there's that element sort of definitely sort of picking up in the workplace. But I think rowing's quite unique in the sense that you can't rock up 10 minutes late. And I'm sure I've seen this written down somewhere, but you know, if you play football or rugby or any other sports, you can rock up 10 minutes late, throw your boots on and run on to pitch. Be like, oh, sorry, I'm late, lads. We'll carry on training. Like rowing, like you're sat on the bank in the pontoon waiting for the person who's late. And very quickly, like you're, okay,
yeah,
I'll be there on time.
You can't do it without the full team. Yeah. You know, football, we'll go out with 10. You know, if someone's running late, you know, there's only half the people here. We'll go 5-a-side this week. Yeah. I mean, you can, okay, right, we'll go in the 4 instead of the 8. But yeah, if one person's missing, yeah, you can't do it. And that really, and again, that's a commitment thing, isn't it? It's like once you've said you're going to go rowing, there's no waking up the next morning and being like, I don't fancy it. That'll be all right.
Got a bit of a cold, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So how was Durham then? Because again, looking, some serious names in the area that you're in there as well.
I mean, yeah, these guys are pretty lucky. Right? Callum, Angus, Francis, Barney.
So Callum McBrighty.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So Callum McBrighty, Angus Groom, silver medalist. Capsized Erg once. Asked Jack Bowman about that.
Yeah, it was it. I was thinking about that.
Sorry, Angus. Francis, Barney, we're so lucky with, again, amazing group of guys. Yeah. Still really good mates with.
Who was coaching them? It was Wade.
Sweet, yeah, Wade.
It's another coaching legend.
Yeah, he's just as bonkers. He used to wear shorts. Like it was properly like -5. Like your hair would be freezing from the sweat and the ice as you're trolling up and down the river. And Wade would be in his classic shorts, dry as a bone, his hat on, just cycling up and down the bank, screaming at you at 6:30 in the morning. I mean, yeah. Again, I don't know whether maybe there's that era of rowers who like rowed in the 80s and 90s who just all a bit mad. But
I think we're just all like try to
maybe we'll be like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good fun. Really enjoyed it. It hurt my back. A classic.
L4, L5,
L5S1, the old chestnut.
The rower's disc, yeah. How was that? Rehabbing?
Pretty hard. I think it's the first time that somebody said, no, Bods, you can't row.
Yeah.
Like, you can't row. You might want to, but you can't row. I think that was quite a tough one to...
How long were you out for?
That probably ended up being best part of 18 months.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of time on the indoor bike.
Yeah, a fair amount. I mean, I'll be forever grateful to the weights coach up at Durham, called a little lad called John Boyle, who's an amazing guy. Still there. Saw him in the summer. Cried on his shoulder. He's amazing. He's an amazing man. He's a heart of gold. And I was sort of coming out of the physio saying, look, this is what's happened. Yeah, he got a load of exercises to do. Didn't go down. He can go down the injections route, but never went down that, and just bawling my eyeballs out. Little John, he's little, stuck his arm around me and he said, don't worry, big man, we'll get you nice and strong so it doesn't happen again. And yeah, spent 18 months with him actually, just doing, again, like little and often weight sessions, really meticulous, dedicated, took your mind off it, a lot on the inside bike, managed to get on the outside bike. But it was hard sitting on the bank, watching those guys. Those guys did really well that year. Yeah, some of my best mates won Henley that year as well. And you sort of sit on the bank going, really hurts, like I'm giving it a good go.
How did you hurt your back? Did it go like during weights?
We did a funny rowing session up at Tyne. So Durham trained up at Tyne next to Newcastle. And that was when you had like the likes of Tom Ford and Rudd Dog and those boys were at Newcastle. I mean, that's not like there's amazing group of people. And I'm sure there's like every year you get sort of generations that come through, but those guys, George Roster was up at Newcastle.
It was a really good time. For
Yeah. Durham and Newcastle, proper ding dongs. And we just did a sort of city race with them. I think Northumbria Uni rocked up as well. So sort of 3 boat side by sides, rattle paddling. And I remember just something pinging. It just I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold your arms out like this. So
it's repetitive strain.
Yeah.
Did you also row with German Seb?
Seb.
I can't remember his surname. He was in our ladies' plate 8 in like 2015. Might have been a bit after you.
Yeah, it would have been around the seats after me.
Blonde hair, with mid-length blonde hair, beast, like an absolute monster. Quad zero.
Maybe just because I did Durham. It was like January 2013 that then I just went off and did weights with John Boyle, and then was just there watching the guys from the bank.
So it didn't get back in a boat at Durham.
No, it didn't in the end. That's when I turned up, met you lads. You were about 16 years old.
I was, yeah.
Full of it.
Absolutely.
You're so
Still
good.
Still am.
So good.
Do you remember the hoodie?
No, what did he?
Rowing is life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so great. Again, we had a maiden group of people.
So what year is that?
2014.
2014,
I rocked up 2014.
2016 were those sort of years I rode at Leander.
So again, like leaving uni, that was like, right, I haven't quite found
again
where I could get to.
Yeah, back to sort of being, hey, I want to give this as the best go I can and do everything I can. I felt like I hadn't given it.
Yeah.
I just hadn't given it a go. So it seemed like the thing to do. Another gap year.
Gap life.
Yeah. And again, well, they had all those guys. Had Tom Ford.
Paul Callum was there as well. Barney was there. Yeah, George, Matt.
Now that was fun. Like, I mean, waking up every day with all your best mates, smashing out, knocking lumps out of each other on the water or the rowing machine, the weights, having second breakfast and breakfast pudding, as Matt Curley were, breakfast pudding, new meal of the day, another session, Lavinia probably telling you off for being naughty, and then go home and find a
massive lunch for £1.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
So, yeah, just fed like kings. It was pretty
It was
awesome.
an amazing setup. Amazing setup. And Ed Caldwell as well. He was down there as well.
Head to head, yeah.
And then Banksy putting our names on the, do you remember that? On the erg list. He's like, right lads, these are the erg lists. And it was like, T. Clark, M. Rossiter, Ed Caldwell, question mark Biddington.
Yes, Biddington.
Yeah. I was like, that was a grim moment in my existence. Like, the head coach doesn't even know my first name. I can't even bother to find it out. So he put a question mark.
Is that not just him writing with his accent, though?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, Biddington. I don't know. We've provisionally got Banksy, and he's been yes,
He can come down.
done hard, but he wants to have a go. So at some point we'll see if we can get him out.
Yeah, dude.
It'll be a fun one to talk to.
Dude, that's funny.
Well, all right.
Yeah. Every Banksy impression is sort of merged into Bo Select and Mel B. There's really not that. So there's the Banksy. But everyone just likes taking it up to the ridiculous
Absolute highlight of those years at Leander was just Banksy just smashing the hour steady states on the bikes and just cheering himself on, being his own biggest fan.
Yeah, love that.
And everyone else training was just had to deal with it.
Showing us how to train.
Yeah, he sent it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, I hope it
Go
was,
on, man.
I hope it was as fit as he was when I'm a bit wiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you find Leander? Yeah, how was that in comparison to the systems you've been in before, and what the sort of things maybe that they did really well?
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, step up, and I think the beauty of it is your sole focus.
Yeah.
So your one thing you're doing is you're just trying to do your rowing, and then sort of that's a bit of dichotomy as well, because it is one thing you've got to say no to loads of stuff, and probably if I look back, I probably wasn't as good as saying no to stuff as you should have been. To do really well, make the most of that time.
There's always balance, still there, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, lots that you can learn when you look back on. But, well, again, just friends, the group of people we rode with, it was great fun. And I made the Prince of Wales B boat behind Andy, Joel, Leask, those boys.
How were they in the B boat?
No. It's Nate on the A boat.
Right.
Yeah,
Who were you with?
Around.
Do you remember?
Yeah, who do we have us who were rowing with? We had Finn was sat behind sat in front of me. I was steering for some reason.
That's the year you left. So you
One year after 2016.
Yeah, and had a good crack. We drew the French national quad on the first day, early Thursday, and got out again in another sort of deletion.
Never done much sculling before then.
No, I've done a bit, sort of hacked around,
Okay.
but I think I've been working a bit as well at Leander, trying to make it work and keep a roof over the head type thing, and sort of sculling in the mornings, hacking around with Nick Milter, but
They'll get you fast.
yeah, hanging on for dear life, like sweating spinal fluid trying to keep up with the man. Then realised I don't need to try and keep up with this guy because he's really fast.
When I was one of my many back injuries, I spent a good few months in the pool up at Henley, in the Nuffield pool. And there's 3 lanes. There's the slow lane, the medium lane, and the fast lane. And you obviously kind of judge based on everyone's around you. So I was not very fast and wouldn't generally go in the fast lane. There'd be like 2 or 3 people in there. Sometimes Nick would come down and swim with us and you just go, watch this. He'd just do 3 lengths and then you just watch everyone move out of the way. He was insanely fast. Like he had a bloody motor on him or something.
So got chest like this sort of size of just 100% lungs.
Proper swimmer, isn't he?
And I said to Nick, bumped into him at Henley, and I was like, mate, we need to get you on a podcast to talk about the time that you've lost at Henley. And he was like, well, that'll be a very short conversation.
Yeah, undefeated.
Were you there when he taught us the lat slap as well, that all the swimmers used to do?
No.
What?
Yeah, you can. Basically everyone learned that. So then essentially every single shower was who can lat slap the loudest. It's quite, the swimmers do it like this, almost like to kind of psych your opponent out a little bit.
Okay.
You keep like a loose tricep and then whip your hand back and it'll smack on your lat. And if you're wet, it will make a noise.
Ah.
It's like a psych out thing.
Intimidate the crap out of
Yeah,
it.
it's random, isn't it?
I'm just taking notes.
So how did you fight? Like, how does sculling compare to rowing for you?
Yeah, I actually really love sculling. I actually really like it. I think I'm built for it as well. So it's like pint-sized body and he's like actually massive legs.
Me and you have built like the Sinkoviches, mate.
Yeah.
Perfect for sculling.
I'm just not sure about everything else.
Yeah.
This boy's they've got bloody muscles coming off their earlobes.
Yeah, probably those two.
And they're just nuts. I mean, really, really enjoyed it. Really loved it. I love the fact that I could give it a go, if that makes sense. And just, you could go and spend all that time just do one sole focus as rowing. But I think I got to a point where I had sort of quite an objective conversation, I think, with Rossi. He's sort of talking like, let's just be honest with each other because there's only so much time you've got. Is it worth me hanging around here? And then he's like, look, if you're not on a pathway, either you've come in from world-class start, or you've come on like the junior worlds, under 23s, the chances of you breaking in are slim to none. So you've got, and not as if I'm 6'7" and shredded, I still had a rig like a melted wheelie bin most of the time. And then
You're putting yourself down.
I think you are, mate. I just remember you in the weights room all the time. I didn't remember you in the crew room too much.
That's the problem. Is I was trying my hardest not to, and still I just love pudding. That's my problem. I just absolutely love pudding. Just
Annie doesn't work at Leander anymore. There's no more sticky toffee puddings.
oh really?
Yeah.
Shoot. I mean, that's where we're really lucky is that she's like a professional pastry chef, and so
I used to work in the kitchen, and then you'd get like, I'm sure no one still works there. So you just get if you were on shift, you get a free pick at the crew food and dessert.
Yeah.
I was like, sick. So Annie was like, just leaving you brownies and sticky toffees and all sorts of things. Like, yeah, it's brilliant. What is it? The crumble. Do you remember the crumble?
Oh, hey, don't. Actually, I have to go home now. So to swing by.
It's making me hungry.
Yeah, don't careful. But yeah, no, I think Leander, super professional outfit, a lot of athletes going through. Again, just another layer of professionalism, another layer of like, how can we bet every day? But still, same underlying thing. You with all your best mates, knocking lumps out of each other all day long, and then having a bit of a laugh. And again, grateful A for that opportunity because not everyone can do it. You have to be down at a location. You have to want to do it. You have to be able to achieve it. But I sort of looked at it and sort of, hang on, like, I need to be a bit serious and a bit honest with myself here. And that's a hard conversation to have. At some point, you've got to just say,
yeah, I've always said I've the utmost respect for people who know when to walk away. There's nothing worse than watching someone flog themselves to death and knowing that they're not going to get anywhere. That's sort of painful to watch, but it's a difficult conversation to have. And another thing I would say, certainly in Banks' favour, but other coaches I've had as well, like, it's not nice to hear. But
You just got to be honest.
they're true. Yeah, you got to. If someone's not going to make it, you can't have them hanging around because, like you say, you have to give up your whole life for that. There's so much you have to give up to do it. It's not something you do for long if you're not progressing.
Yeah, and I think also you have to remember there's only a certain number of spaces in the squad. Oh yes, there's only 8 people in the boat. There's only a certain number of spaces in the squad, so you're taking away from somebody else. And you could look at it a bit. Maybe it's a bit meta and a bit sort of big picture, but there might be somebody who's not going to come down to the club or can't come down to the club because the space is not there that you're taking up, that you may not be stepping on to do that great stuff. So,
But yeah, you gave it a go. 3 years.
Yeah, gave it a go.
It was great fun. No regrets. Put everything in and see where you get to.
yeah, exactly.
And it's a good way to look at things as well. Like, it's very mature to think, shit, I might actually be taking the space of someone who needs it more than me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's hard. So I think I then went off into the world of work properly this time.
oh, you didn't go back to Henley?
Well, I might have done at some point
Yeah.
afterwards, but no, I went off into the world of work. So I had one last crack, and this is a sculling. I really loved the sculling piece. I had a crack at the Wingfields.
Yeah.
Like that. Now that is a cool race. Out of all the races there are, I think that's probably my.
Is that not invitational?
Well, yeah.
You get a little inside
I'm not sure.
wild card.
I don't know. Maybe it's like, who's this bloke? No, but Wade's run it for a long time,
Oh, yeah.
and my best mate Tim won it. It was 2015, and so if you win it, you have to get onto the organising committee.
Okay.
So I said to them, "No, any chance I can have a crack?" And I think they were just lucky they didn't have many entries that year because it was Kirkwood, Nick Middleton, Fraser, myself, and Tim, and it's like in the November. They don't shut the river off. It's the boat race course. So it's a boat race course right from Putney to Chiswick, but they don't shut the river off. So you've got the tugboats screaming down. We had the RNLI doing laps around us at one point, and in your dingle doing this,
I haven't heard that for a while. The dingle.
Yeah, the dingle. Greg Searle commentating, being like, "Scullers, watch out for the RNLI." And I'm like, what do you mean the RNLI? Sure, they're here to save somebody. Like, Nick Middleton fell in. I think it was mile mark.
I remember that.
I mean, the funny thing is, he fell in. I think I missed his head by millimetres in my blade. I think it killed him. I mean, I don't know. I'm in my tombstone. The lad who killed Nick Middleton's. I mean, my blade just did that over the top of his head.
What year was that?
Haircut. That was
16.
2016.
Okay, so you still had a couple of Henley wins after that.
Cool. Yeah, he did.
Did end him early.
It's quick. Yeah, fortunately. And then he got in and finished.
Yeah.
He got time. Clive was timing, and he got a final time, whatever it was, like 40 minutes or something.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Clive as well.
I was going to say, we saw Clive down the bank the other day. He listened. So
Yeah, he was a good man. Yeah, he's great guys. Again,
I hope I can still be going out and rowing and doing everything he does when I'm
Yeah,
there.
amazing.
That guy doesn't stop.
Yeah, he was just coaching some crews, I think, for like just before Met. And then I stopped, I had a look, and I was like, they don't look like a college rowing crew. Okay, this is City of Oxford, right? And then Clive comes out. And I say, oh, hey, Clive. And he's like, I'm really quite enjoying your podcast. And like, honestly, that just made my entire day. Like, come on, Clive.
I like it more when someone says that they like the podcast rather than when you have a 15-minute conversation with them. And then after that, you'll be like, oh, because I don't know if we also do this podcast. And they're like, yeah, I've watched them all. And you're like, well, you've let me just like talk to you. Like, I don't know. But then do you, I don't know.
I guess, like, to some people, it might be like weird to say. Yesterday, I was at a bar in the City of Oxford. I was trying to get a glass of water, naturally. And then I was speaking to the waitress, whatever. And then some guy was like, I recognize your voice. I was like, this is so weird. I'm still like needing to like get used to that. But yeah, shout out. I appreciate you listening.
Yeah, that's happened before us because there's a lot of people that listen on Spotify. They don't necessarily know what we look like, but once they hear us talking, it's quite funny. But we also just worked out we've gone over 100,000 total views.
have you really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's rather
Cool, isn't it? Yeah.
That's amazing.
This is
scary.
Yeah, we've done almost 80 episodes. It's just like it's been pretty relentless, but I guess I love it. It's like a different challenge, and there's another like way to sort of satisfy that rower's mentality of like just like pushing harder, turning up, and just training, and then loving the process, seeing what the outcome brings.
I think one thing that's been interesting sort of listening to along, and I'll be honest, I've listened to every single one. It's just time and like
No one.
I haven't listened to everything.
I have it on at work. Like if I'm sat there working away and writing a document or something, I'll have somebody on the background. It's been great. But I think it's really interesting. Sort of, it's almost like validation of all the stuff you thought you knew and you thought everyone was going through and the challenges and all this sort of stuff. It's just a bit of validation to hear it from different voices. Like, Dave Bell, Ali Barron the other day. Like you can go, oh yeah, actually, yeah, that's right. I did the right thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't the only one in that sort of situation.
I think initially we didn't realise that was going to be a big part of it, and that sort of quite quickly became aware that, oh, hang on, like, it doesn't matter where you got to. Like, we've all had the same struggles, but none of us talked about it, and we all sat there thinking we were the only one that was having this problem. So then having the ability to then, have other people listen, that it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, where you work. Of course you've had days where you didn't want to be there. Of course you've hated it. Of course you thought you were going to quit. But you think, oh, no one in the team's ever going to.
Yeah.
No, it's everyone.
Best thing is when you like say something outrageous and then Tim Foster's on the other side of the table. He's like, yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Weak, but
When I first started coaching with him and we sat down and he was
I
like,
remember
no, before you, I was on training camp in Portugal.
oh, right.
He just sat down and was like, so what's your technical model then? I was like, okay, so I guess, I'm sort of here, this sort of that. And he's like, yeah, so I use all those exercises as well. In your head, you just winged it. A bit like playing it cool on the surface.
So can you start teaching the stroke from the catch or from the finish?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question, right?
It is, yeah.
It depends. You can do both. There's more than one way to skin a cat, obviously.
But what did Tim say? When you said how you do yours?
Yeah, he likes it from the back as well, yeah.
Yeah. Cut
He
that.
likes to start, from the cut that bit.
No, I'm so keeping
No, Tim definitely starts the rowing stroke from the back end. Anyway, we've got distracted. Yeah, I wanted to ask. So, Leander, obviously, like you said, it's a high performance club. You go there to try and win Henley or make a national team, things like that. You sort of done your time there, sort of realised that maybe that necessarily wasn't the route you were going to take. At the time, was there that disappointment in that? But did you also feel that there were like other things that you gained from being there? Like it wasn't just about the winning.
100%.
So I think some people realise that later, and I maybe think like it would be nicer if in the moment you could realise that it's not just about that.
Yeah, I think both. Yeah, so like bitter disappointment, right? It's just a hard pill to swallow, and you go, I wasn't good enough. Like I'm actually as good as you want to be, and everyone you hear it, you want to be as great as you can, and you just got to just say no and say that I've got to crack on, otherwise you'll miss opportunities for other things. And then go back to that. There's only certain windows and opportunities you have, and you've got to try and take them when you can. But also, 100% to learn. So we talked about them already, but time management is a bit of a cliche thing. But just like looking at stuff and going, okay, well, I know it's half an hour away. Let me give myself an hour. I used to do it at work all the time, right? I'd go for a sales meeting. It'd be half an hour away, so I'd give myself an hour, and I'd spend half an hour sat in my little Toyota Yaris waiting for the meeting to happen. And then I cottoned on to the fact it's a sales meeting, so you've got to be a bit revved up for it. And I used to have a song, Tina Turner's Simply the Best. So
Yes.
Yeah, I sit in my Yaris, Tina Turner blaring out, Simply the Best. I like walk into the sales meeting like, yeah!
Better than...
Yeah. Like, I have to calm down, like, it's just one sales meeting, like, be cool. So, but yeah, definitely a way of getting revved up. But yeah, time management, aside on time management, but definitely like a time management piece. Again, it's cliche, but also like looking at stuff and being okay that it's not quite perfect, but how can it be better tomorrow? Or like, how can it be better next week? And, like what can I do better around here to make it that bit more efficient, that bit more effective? That was definitely one, because at the end of the day with rowing, you spend 11 months training pretty much, again, if you're in the senior team, it's for, that very, very end of the season, that, the 4 or 5 races you might have. If it's club rowing, obviously you've got a load of races throughout, but you've got the head racing pretty much up until Wallingford. Mm-hmm. And then it's like 2 months of racing in reality. If that, you're training for such a long time, but you've got to start off with something a little bit broken to make it better every time, or someone's got to break it to fix it again. You can't just say, well, this is the only way around, I'm just going to crack on and get it done and it'll be fine type thing. You've got to kind of scrutinize it and work out where you can improve. And definitely the same works when you go to the world of work, which is like, it doesn't have to be perfect day one. It doesn't have to be, absolutely, you have to make sure you do your best, but you can review back and go, okay, hang on, what can I do a little bit better here? How could I make that a bit better? What happened when I actually presented? What happened when I, produced that document for those individuals? Or, looking back and seeing what you can review on. Like, it's just, there's that quote, isn't it? It's a game of inches, right? It's just a little and often how you can improve.
100 things by 1%.
Yeah.
Can't change one thing by 100%, but you can change 100 things by 1%. Yeah. And it's not specific just to rowing, but I think like rowing's a way where you can find it and take it on, I guess. So then finishing at Leander, in terms of rowing, did you think that was going to be it for you for rowing, or did you know you wanted to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, I had a job, got into World of Work, so did the Wingfields, got into World of Work, and then just work. Again, when you're in sales, you're on the road the whole time, like you are just bombing around the place and be in Manchester one day and the next day. It's hard just to do anything, let alone rowing, and the time it takes to go rowing, right? It's just, there's a lot of effort involved, but yeah, just, I sort of look back and go, at the time I sort of, maybe I haven't quite finished rowing type thing, but the reality of trying to do it was too hard. So just got stuck into the work, did everything I could, and yeah, end up sort of, I was living with Holly Nixon and Erin currently now, so going to the Paralympics this week, and they were training, so I was still like a little bit connected to rowing, and you sort of, how's it getting on? How's it getting down at the squad? How's everyone doing? Like, type thing. And we turned the garage, the three of us turned the garage into the gym at the time and had it set up and all that sort of stuff. And everything.
I started seeing you pumping out some erg squats.
Yeah.
So you were starting to chase the sub-6.
No. I mean, that was just really to try and stay relatively fit and not turn into, Mega Man, the vending machine. So the vending machine with arms sticking outside.
You've got a way with words.
So no. And did a bit of sculling. Like, I really enjoyed sculling, and actually really interesting. I'd go out when I could sculling in the morning down at Henley, because we sort of lived down Twyford way, and just bashing up down the river. But there's a way of just being able to turn everything off and just enjoy that sort of calmness, just the moment. I mean, sometimes the river was great, sometimes it was trough, like it was just awful, right? Like, but actually, what was really funny is like some of the challenges I had at work, I'd be sort of running along 8K and then go, oh, that problem that I've been struggling with like for the last 2 days, I can't think of a solution. I've just thought of one whilst I was rowing, and yeah, there's definitely like a yin and yang that helped with that. But
it's very focusing.
Yeah.
We do, again, we talked about this before, but we do so many things we do all at once. We drive and we listen to podcasts, we watch TV and look at our phone and talk to someone else and make a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. But like when you're rowing, it's the difficult thing to do. You just can only focus on that.
Yeah.
And it really switching off. You get like, that's the flow state stuff that people talk about. You kind of get into that that zone. Yeah. I'm like the same thing about like an ergo. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on in your head or like how bad a day you could have had. It all just melts. It's just the only thing in the entire universe that matters is this screen, and everything else around it melts away, and you can get away from it. And I definitely feel like I use rowing as like therapy in a way. At times. I certainly will go and hammer myself on the ergo every now and again.
There's something quite sadistic about it.
Yeah, well, it's
sadistic or masochistic. Masochistic, yeah, that's it.
Bit of both.
Yeah.
It's sadistic if you're a coach.
Yeah, that's a whole nother argument.
That's another episode.
So, yeah. Well, we've always said before, doesn't it? You're not actually a rower unless you've quit at least once. Like, it's like the Rocky story.
You're going, greatest comeback since Lazarus, I think. Yeah, I think, no, I'll tell you what it was. It was Jamie Copus. So it was training, Ollie and Erin got the gym set up in the house, doing a little bit of rowing. Those guys were doing really, really well and successful in their careers. And then sort of lockdown happened. I was working for a video conferencing company at the time. And obviously, when lockdown happened, every man, woman, child, goat, you name it, wants to get out of video conferencing. So again, sort of pinging around the place, trying to install servers and all sorts for work-wise. But from home. So it's like, what else do I have to do? Or can I do, really? So I get on the bike and go for it. I mean, I'm not built like a runner. Might do a bit of running, but I'm like King Kong, tromping around the place. But did a bit of rowing and sort of try to stay fit on the rowing machine. And then I think that was when Henley was cancelled because of COVID. And then I saw call in the Jamie Copus was pulling crew together down at Henley Rowing Club against the Henley Rowing Club Take 3, right? And I sort of caught wind of it and I texted him and said, hey, mate, I heard you might be pulling an 8 together or a crew together down at Henley. You've got space for one more. And he was like, oh no, sorry mate, we're full. If we get another couple of lads going, I'll let you know and get a 4 out. And that, I had a proper like red rag to a bull. And I was like, right, there's no way that not even being allowed to come down for a training session because I wasn't very good enough. So I just leathered myself for about 4 weeks the rowing machine, like no zone 1, just pure like zone 5 for an hour and 19, right? Absolutely just deleting myself in this gym with shut the doors open. And then eventually pulled like half an hour, half decent score, and texted him, said, "Hey mate, any space in that 8?" He's like, "Oh yeah, come down, here's the training program."
I've all changed.
Yes, get in.
You understood the assignment.
Yeah, I completely understood what he was asking. And that was amazing actually, because that year we had four young lads who were 17, 18, and 4 of us older lads down at Henley Rowing Club. So you had like Joe and Seth and a few others. So like Joe Long, like Heidi's younger brother. He's at 18, but about 75 feet tall. And then you had a couple of other lads like George Eden and a few other boys who were and they were
Sort of single to George Eden.
Yeah.
Shout out George. Yeah.
Doesn't him and Tom Ford have the exact same voice?
Yeah, I think so. They're just both as good looking as each other.
I don't know. You're the expert.
Yeah, so like we had, it was actually really nice in a funny way, because you had sort of these 4 young lads who they've also gone off to America and gone to Princeton and Yale and on scholarships and stuff, and I think doing really, really well. And then us sort of four old lags who were just hanging on by fingernails. Like,
how is that dynamic to have been the young guy and been given advice and now be the?
Yeah, it was a nice sort of felt that, well, we can give these guys like teach them some of our learnings, have a good crack and have good fun with them, and like give them a good sort of basis to go off and row at university. And
Definitely like one of the 3rd or 4th people that have said that getting in a crew towards the end of their career with some younger athletes was something that like reminded them why they, because there's that bit in the middle where, like you said, you struggle and you try and get a bit further and maybe you don't, and you think, what am I doing this for? And there's quite a few people. Dave Bow was one in the Molesey quad, and I think maybe Wenyan as well was talking about it. But yeah, just that thing of like, the love of it. They haven't been ground down.
They're so like green around the ears. Like, I mean, but we had there was a good group of us. We were so lucky, again. And yeah, we did all right. We got to Saturday that year.
Did you row as Henley, or was that because
we were Henley Rowing Club? Yeah, did Griffin as well every now and then. A bit more of a beer crew.
We bumped into you the summer of 2021, and we saw you training when we were fixing all the ergs up at Henley last time. And yeah, because you had the Henley all-in-one on. And we're like, no way, Bodders is still training. That was sick.
Still going. Yeah, he was my best year. He was the fittest I've ever been in that year. Somehow I just pulled 5:58 out of the bag somewhere.
You did what?
Yeah. I remember watching that on social media, just watching it, getting it closer and closer. I was like, yes, come on, Bodders.
Absolutely. I was leathering myself. Yeah, I got those. But but I had really long hair as well because it'd been lockdown. So we always do have nice long hair. Tied up, the John McEnroe headband. It was great.
You kept the John McEnroe though, because you were wearing that in 23, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were wearing it.
Headband with just no long hair.
Yeah.
Had a proper job. But yeah, I mean that was, you said, it was really nice. You sort of reminded why I love rowing, like why it's great fun, and also then give, like, for those 4 lads, give them a bit of a springboard on to do the next thing. So yeah, again, we did it right. Saturday, got absolutely hosed by Thames Rowing Club, obviously. And had a few beers, and it was all fun and games, really. Again, just like a solid, what I sort of consider to be like a solid regatta. I know it sounds really silly, like we didn't win, like, but we had a solid regatta. We had a couple of races we were very lucky to do, because not everyone can this knockout, right?
Not everyone can win, and I think that's the great thing about Henley is it's got so much history, and it's so amazing to be there. And every crew there is there for different reasons, and some are there to win, and some are there to make a weekend. And when I rowed at school, we'd never even made a first round, so our aim was like, can we get through a first round? It doesn't matter. It's such a high standard and such an impressive event to be at that you can have your own aims. And again, it's something why I would like to talk about more, probably with more of our guests, to be like, well, it has to be about more than just winning. Like, winning's great, but what else is it about? What are the achievements like? And just in terms of, we talked about this before, process, not outcome, making sure that you talk to your crew about how you think the row went before you find out the result. Mm-hmm. Like, not how fast everyone else was or how you judged yourself, comparison being the thief of joy and all that, but like, how did it go for you? And I think there's like so many other ways to do well. And it's funny that you even just said, oh, it sounds a bit stupid, but like, no, it doesn't sound stupid. It's great. It's bloody great. You went out there and you had a crack at it and you got into the biggest rowing event in the world and got through a few rounds and had a great time and got the beers in.
Yeah.
Plus, you need a standard of where you started and what the maximum potential was for that cruise. So if you're judging as a solid regatta, then that means you guys did a pretty good job.
Yeah, definitely. It just, I think it's, as you said, like for anyone, like you only ever sort of see winning. You never obviously, you sort of see the second place maybe if you watch the finals there and Henley, or you might see it actually on the board somewhere. But yeah, it's this other thing. There was a lad that I was at school with, Chris, who all he wanted to do was race at Henley. That's all he wanted to do, was just go down the track once on the Wednesday before it was now Tuesday start, but he just wanted a Wednesday down the regatta and just a bit of perspective on it. But
exactly, and it's one thing, how do they call it, the hedonistic treadmill or whatever, every time you step up a little bit further, you sort of forget how important it was from that previous goal that you'd set for yourself. The Chris Williamson, isn't it? I've already achieved things I said would make me happy. We're so good at forgetting that and just what's next, what's the next thing I can do.
So that was 2022.
2021. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the regatta was back on in 2021.
Yeah, and that was when it was split, when you had it on the other side.
Yeah.
On the other side of the river.
Yeah, I think Alex talked a little bit about that, Alwenian. But so how big was the hunger or the fire for that red box at that point?
Well, it's an interesting one because we sort of walked away from it with that sort of mentality, like the 4 young lads who give them a really good send-off to go off to the American unis in a couple of weeks' time. Like, hopefully they'll do really, really well. And then, George was going off to the army. He finally managed to get into the army and stuff. And so, maybe we'll just give it a go again and just keep rowing, just get back to sort of enjoyment mode. And then a few things changed, right? And got a new job, needs to be up in London a few days a week, sometime in Reading, sometime in Birmingham. And he's sort of, maybe again, this is it type thing, that window of opportunity, maybe it's coming right to the very end of it.
What was it? Was the aim the red box, or was it just to fulfill what you considered to be your potential?
Yeah, I think it was the latter, right? Again, going back to Big Neil Bodd and his Olympic story, right? I think for me, I just wanted to just do the best I can, and if it meant a red box, it meant a red box, and if it didn't, it didn't. But part of me, so that's sort of the sensible, sane part. The other part of me was like, hell or high water, like, you've got to do it. Like, the beam hanging bit of me was like, fuck, yeah, you've got to get it, whatever you do, because you're going to look back and be like, shit, all your mates have won it, you haven't won it. You'll beat yourself up for not doing it. So again, maybe a little bit of belief, maybe a little bit of, masochism.
You need a bit.
You need a bit of mix of everything, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit of a loose wire, yeah.
I'd say then you make me rethink my career choice.
It's not all the science, there's some magic to it as well, yeah.
Yeah. So moved up to London, and then lo and behold, this is, I think, part of the challenge with working is to start this new job in January 2022, and so I was running a team of engineers who based in South Africa, Portugal, Spain, all over the place, and so we got a big half-year review the week of Henley, the Thursday, the Friday of Henley. It was a big half-year review with the investors, with the investment taken on. So there's no way I can rock up to a job day 2, be like, oh yeah, by the way, sorry, can't make it to like the big event I'm supposed to be out and presenting to everybody because I'm actually around and rowing. But like, that's just not a thing. So it was very sort of quick turning around, being like, you can't do it. And again, window of opportunity, you're not always going to be able to do, you're not always going to have the opportunity to go and row. And for me, that year was like, ain't going to happen.
22.
Expect your career, yeah. So luckily, as soon as I could, I booked the next week off. Booked the next year off that Henley week. So I'm bloody going to have a go. I'm not going to let anything else get in the way of it. And I rang up my boss, who's now CEO, and I said, look, James, I need to have this week off. I need to make sure there's not a half-year review next year this week. Do it the week after. Do it the week before if you have to. But if you can move it that week after, that'd be great. And he's a sportsman. He's a rugby player and all sorts. And he said, yeah, understood the assignment. I'll go and do it. So got moved to the week after.
It's another thing we've said before, but it's always something I hadn't realised, obviously, until I got a job was, if you've got a full-time job and you want to row at Henley, 20% of your holiday is going on Henley week, and another 20% or 30% is probably going on training camps. And what have you got less?
Yeah, not much.
Yeah,
I mean, I just booked my annual leave that year based on when I needed to be on training camps from the coaches. That was it. Yeah. So if we're going to go for Dorney, if we're going to do this, we're going to do that, I'm going to book them. Because
that in itself is just such a huge sacrifice. Like this time when I'm supposed to be resting and chilling and having a bit of time away from work, and I'm going to be slashing up and down.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, my boss asked me, and he's like, "Oh, we do with your holiday next week." So it pops up in the work calendar. I was like, "Oh, we're going on training camp," and he looks at me and he's like, "What? It's like fucking ISIS or something, like training camp, like." And I was like, no, like, I'll do some rowing, and we go on this camp every year, we do some training, and then you do the 2 weeks, and then you go, and it's just completely alien to him at the time, and he's like, just bonkers.
We talk about, we got Colin Williamson got me at Edinburgh Uni job, which is 70 ergs, and then we started adding on Durham and Tyne United, and then St Andrews. Got a little trip, so some end of August, start September, we do this week. It's probably going to be more than a week.
It's going to be like 2 weeks this year.
So you got to go with a lot of gear and parts and everything, and you sort of run out of stuff. And like, oh, geez, we'll be at St Andrews in 2 days' time. So Ring Concept 2, can you get this stuff delivered to St Andrews? And it's fun, but we sort of treat it like training camp. We talk about it like training camp. We finish the day and be like, because you start trying to fit more and more in each day, and you think, well, okay, but if I did those 2 jobs together and I didn't put that drill down in between each time, and we did that 15 times, that saves me about 7 minutes. So if we can say, and all of us, it's ridiculous.
But it's like it's seriously making a difference because, for example, in Edinburgh Uni, say they've got 50 ergs in the gym. If you waste 20 seconds per ergo, and you have to visit each ergo twice more, so add another 40 seconds,
and so
the time's up by 50, and suddenly you're like 2 hours ahead of schedule. Mm-hmm. And then, like, if we like really push it in, give it a bit of a shift. Well, last year we managed to also do the podcast with Jack Burns on the back end of that. That was quite cool.
You guys squeeze in, God knows, amazing.
Oh, I don't know either. Sometimes there's the one we did that where we'd only just started with maybe 20 episodes.
Oh my god!
We didn't have anything recorded, and we were up in Scotland fixing stuff, and like neither.
That was episode 3, mate.
There you go, episode 3. But Pete was like, "We're doing one every week." So it's like we'd driven up Scotland, worked all day, got to this place at like 9 p.m. and just like, oh shit. All right, so we just set up a little studio in the room and filmed it, and yeah.
The funniest thing was just us wondering like what other people would have thought if they like walked into a cheap hotel room up in the middle of Edinburgh.
And they see the studio
just like studio stuff. I was like, what are you guys recording?
Dodgy adult film was that was what it looked like, yeah.
Well, I guess it's like making time though, isn't it? Like you guys are like, okay, well, if we're going to do this once a week, we've got to make and carve the time out to go and do it.
Well, luckily they release once a week, but we can record a few more during that time.
Yeah,
so like
you still have to carve the time.
Yeah.
Like you still have to sit down and go, well, how about take 2-3 hours plus editing? Like I've got to go and make sure that I build that time into my week. You can't just sort of hope it happens and you find time. You fill your time with everything.
Well, I mean, last year, so we finished the podcast with Jack Burns. I'm pretty sure we went back for the night to the hotel. We had loads of work the next day, but I was like, it's going to be Sunday, need an episode. So I just stayed up all night and just worked the next day. And I was like, Tom, are you all right to drive for the rest of the trip? Yeah.
But it's fun because then you start to get in that, it starts to feel like that old vibe, waking up in the morning, when you're on camping, like, oh, I'm knackered, my hands are hurting, my legs. But then a little bit of it's like, oh, we're back in, back in the trenches.
Yeah.
And there is some fun in that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's also just like, you don't know if you can quite complete like what we always like set out to do because we're like always trying to be way too ambitious, like our work schedule and plan and everything. So like you also like get to meet your old friend, the voice back again, and like, okay, here we go. Here's going to be a challenge.
That's the red rag to the bull thing, isn't it? Like you said, like as soon as someone sort of says, I might not be able to do that. You're like, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
You're wrong. So were you rowing in 22? Were you still rowing in temps? You had started rowing?
Yeah. Moved up to London in March. And then I got stuck in there. And I mean, that place is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably really easy for me to say this. I've been part of that group. But those guys there's a reason why they've been in like every club final for the last 3, I don't know shit actually really. But it must have been like at least the last 3 or 4 years we had every club final.
Yeah, it's crazy. What the statistic? They've had like 6 of the last 8 or 6 of the last 9 Thames Cups or something like that, isn't it? Yeah.
This song, I totally understand why I haven't walked in there.
And so talk about it. What was the setup?
Where do you start really? Like, again, it goes back to what we were saying. An amazing group of people. I think like I rocked up day one, knowing that I couldn't race at Henley that year, but wanted to row and I'm going to give it a good crack and try and make it work around work as best as I can. and just like suck you straight in. An amazing group of people. I think if I was being really brutally honest, I probably didn't believe deep down that I could, but actually, like those guys probably said, yeah, Boz, I think you probably can. I think you can give it a good crack and at least get to a final or give it a good win.
But did you say that before or after you got a 5:57?
That was after. But I mean,
You're
this is the
wild,
thing,
mate.
but this is the thing. Like you can, and this goes back to why I think Thames are really successful. It's the ergos kind of don't mean much, right? It's great if you can put a great ergo, full marks, but the old adage, ergos don't float, right? You know, you've got to be able to lay it down in the water. And you've got to be able to go fast off them.
Oh, I know what you mean, though. Like anyone can talk themselves out of anything. You know, oh, I'm too old. I've been doing this too long, or I've got a job. There's always a million reasons why you won't. And like installing a culture of people, putting belief in each other. This has got to be a powerful thing.
Also, I like the other motto of Thames Rowing Club is when you walk into the downstairs gym and it says, "Don't be a lightweight." That's pretty good. Sorry, a bit off topic.
Well, I mean, again, I think the reason why they're successful is there's a couple of reasons. Writing them down earlier, but focus. Like focus is a big one. That's not just an athlete focusing or a coach or necessarily a club, but it's all a bit focused, right? The club, you know, rightly or wrongly, and I think some people knock it, but their one goal is to win club events. Don't have a junior program, don't have a novice program, have a bit of a masters geriatrics crew that we sort of hack around in. They keep hankering me to come down, and I haven't been down yet. I really do want to. Again, finding the time. But that is their focus. Like it's the sole focus from a club. And then from the athlete point of view, it's like, okay, well, how do we do complete training around work? Because we get it, you're working. They really try and make it work. And the club do different things to help it, whether it's, you know, working. You can go down and work at the club. You can get food down at the club in the evenings, put it on because the training's quite late. So you eat and go to bed, make sure you get food on. Like there is that just element of focus across all layers of it. And it's quite amazing to see it sort of pull together in a couple of different layers.
How would you compare it to like a setup, say like Leander or Durham?
It's probably not too dissimilar on one level, right? Like club meals, bit subsidised, help feed you. Yeah, they're not as bountiful and absolutely delicious puddings that we're lucky enough to have at Leander, but you know they're there. They do the job. They get it sorted. The focus is there. So again, Leander, you're sort of focusing on that's the whole pathway into the GB team.
Although I think potentially that is an issue at Leander. They're trying to do too many things. You know, there's a lot of my 2 out of the 3 plate finals that I lost by nothing. We're only getting into the crew at like Met because you've got to be in your single until October, and then you've got to be in your pair till December, and then you've got to be in your single again, and then it's March, quick jump in the 8 for a week, and then you're back doing final trials, and like when you have all those other things to focus on, it does make it difficult. And I think like that's like I agree with you. Like Thames focusing just on people can have a go at you for doing it, but it's like, well, but if you really want, if that's the aim, make it the aim. Don't try and do too much at once.
I mean, that's the measure of success. I mean, you forget the Thames. I think there's some stat they didn't win anything. Sort of one night was it the 8 in the Thames Cup of the 1930s
Up until 2015.
Yeah, and then it was. But I think it was then a decision to be like, right, we got to change this. We got to be the right clubs. So again, you focus, you put your efforts into the right place.
Yeah, that was Ben Lewis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Ben, there was a lot more to. I mean, I'd heard it. I don't know if it was from Ben or hear another story. I think Thames reached out to Leander and was like, you know, how are you doing? And they said, come down, have a look, see what you're doing. Look, this is like, I think maybe some of the food and that kind of stuff came off the back of Leander and having a look at that. So I thought it was pretty cool that clubs are happy to kind of share that stuff.
Yeah, because you can use the restaurant money. I think Ben was saying to sort of like fund the coaches, and then you can have more professionalism, etc. So like, you know, there is money in the budget for like organizing stuff rather than just like trying to scrape by on everything that's 25 years old and beyond that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it took a bit in some of the notes you sent over about sort of attacking training slightly differently, or having to think a little bit more about how it was from 31 as opposed to 21.
Yeah, so on a few different levels, right? So again, I think I've said it quite a few times, but I just leathered myself. It's idiotic. And I really look back now, I really bang my head against the wall and go, why on earth did I do it? But I'd get on an ergo on the Monday. So you have the training program we published by Sonder, right? I'd get on the ergo Monday morning and I would leather myself as hard as I could. Like rate 19 hour and just screaming from the eyeballs as hard as I could to try and just pull some sort of split, and it'd be
202.
Yeah, that's the bloody irony. Isn't it? No, I wish, but like you just the heart rate of 500, just swaying out of every orifice, like it was horrible. But because I thought that is how you get better, right? You just got to train really, really hard. And again, I think again in my mind, because of the sort of seniority of work and sort of like going through my career, a little bit of my age, I know, you sort of get to the early 30s, everything starts creaking and hurting a bit. There's other priorities start kicking in as well. I thought maybe, again, I actually really genuinely believe that this is my last window. This is the last opportunity I'm going to have. If I want to win, I've got to do it. So I just approach training completely differently. I've gone from sort of, unless you're hacking around for the first 3 months, but so that September to December, people do it in different ways. But I was like, right, I'm going to train really hard. So I did a little bit of stuff in August to stay fit, ready for August the 1st. There's an erg test down at Thames. And even I was shocked when I rocked up on September the 1st, how seriously they took it from there. Yeah, you've got 40, 50 athletes just in the men's squad alone, the similar sort of number rock up in the women's squad. Just 40 or 50 athletes rock up September the 1st, and they're pacing themselves and also training really, really smart and really, really cleverly. But like I'd rock up on the Monday morning for the ergo, 60 minutes or 90 minutes, whatever it be, UT2 zone 1, and just delete myself. And then wondered why when I got to Thursday, stuff was hanging off and was dribbling and fag was popping out left, right, and centre. Like, it was stupid. And again, it goes back to, I think, something they get right is the comms and sort of communication from the coaches. Is Sonder took me to one side and was like, mate, I need you to do training properly. Like, you're not. I'm like, yeah, I can do that really personally. I was like, I am killing myself for you, like trying to actually, what he meant was like, I don't care about necessarily zone 1 to keep you fit. Like, you've got a day job, you've got to maintain and stuff, top of that, you've got the weight sessions to do as well. Like, I actually did many of those weight sessions. Just kept filling the form in, something I had. Sorry, Sonder. But yeah, did those ergs, and then wondered why when I hit the hard ergs on the Thursday or the piece on the Saturday, Sunday, that literally I was dribbling all over myself before I even got onto the boat. And fair play to the 3 coaches there, Jamie, JPD, and Sonder, because they told me pretty much every training session, this is what you need to do. I just ignored it because I was trying to train as hard as I could. And it took until like Wallingford Regatta in that year before I completely ballsed up a sea race on telemetry. And Jamie took me on the side and he was like, mate, you do so well. And this week you killed yourself. I've been watching your watts. You've been absolutely deleting yourself. And lo and behold, you get to the 2K on Saturday, you've stuffed it up, and now we're not going to be able to put you into the top boats. And that was like, oh my God, I haven't been listening type thing. I had a girlfriend as well whispering in my ear being like, you need to do it. Training is on the program, not killing yourself. And that was one of the other subtle shifts, was like, focus on what's important through the week, right? They have got hard erg 1 day a week, 2 pieces, Saturday and Sunday. Focus on those, do those as well as you can. Put yourself in the best possible position to do those pieces, because that's what you're being measured on as an athlete. You're not being measured on the UT2 zone 1 on the Monday morning. No one really cares about it. It's to stay fit, it's to get the pattern of rowing in, it's to build the aerobic base. It's not what you're being measured on. It's not what you come up to, and what the coaches will select the athletes on.
I did so similar thing. A large part of my career, sort of last man in the boat. You just sort of feel there's no session where I can be taking it easy. I need to be pushing. Everyone else is doing the same training as me. So in order for me to improve, I need to push. And even and we would write all the scores down at the end, and if you did a crap UT2, someone might say something, and the coach might say something. But if on Wednesday your half hour 8:20 is great, no one's ever going to remember any of the UT2s, and it's a difficult lesson to learn. It's another thing we've said that probably everyone's had to learn it the hard way at whatever level they're at. But yeah, it's such a common, again, it's just one of those common things where you think this must be how I get better. It's very counterintuitive to think I'm just going to really not pull very hard on this ergo.
Yeah. Question then.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have been as successful that year as you were if you weren't killing yourself for most of that year, trying to like get yourself back up to that insane mental strength, resilience, fitness, and unlocking all those gains?
That is the other side of the coin, is the mental toughness as well that you do learn from half hour 8:20s and some of those sessions.
Because this was like you said, this was your last win. Of course, you threw everything at it. But do you think if you just followed the program and you didn't go and do your Dan Bod stuff?
The short answer is I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't think I could tell you.
How were you sort of throughout the year ranking? Were you like, oh, it's going to be tight, sort of in and out of the top boat, or was there some?
Well, I think on the scores, I was pretty north of the top. I think I pulled over. It was Joe Wolfen was down there as well.
Shout out.
And, yeah, Joe, we were having a good old ding dong on some of the erg tests and a few of the other lads, and managed to stay really healthy to the top of the ergo. But again, the rowing machine doesn't float, right? You don't get on the water, like stage to man or beast. But I think for me, it's a bit sort of the other stuff. It's a bit of like how you're applying on the water, but it's also someone came up to me at one point. It was like, "Oh, D-Boss need to have a word to you because you put in your ergo scores and your watts and you put in your measuring in and put your weights down for those guys so they sort of monitor it." And he was like, "D-Boss, need to have a chat to you, mate. Like, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's good. But yeah, need to be great if we could just get the weight adjusted, the power to weight ratio up a little bit further." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I hear you." And he's like, "So work, how stressful is work?" Like, and fair play to them. Like, they're not coming at it like jump up and down and if it shakes, lose it type thing. They're like, right, we're gonna,
I've heard where that used to be, a rule.
It's just one way of doing it. But yeah, we'll do it quite properly and we'll really try to understand where it's coming from because work's different. You've got client dinners, taking people out all the time. Here's I say, what is it? How do we sort of make it work? And it was like, well, I didn't drink during the week. That was my sort of rule, don't drink on school night.
Yeah.
To try and avoid it at all costs because it's just empty calories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty good. Like, sort of, I'd take clients out and stuff like that or go out for dinner. Like, I used to be terrible, but I got a lot better at it. And I was just trying to like re-educate, relearn yourself. Well, you just have the rowing calorie need.
And the client's business card.
Oh, yeah, I tell you. I was in Chicago for a meeting and I just remember going into this restaurant and I don't think we weren't even with a client at the time. We were just there with work. And the lad I was there, Duncan, he said, "Oh, what do you fancy for dinner tonight?" I was like, "Oh, I fancy a steak." And he's like, "Okay, I'll go find it." And he just found this insane steak restaurant. I mean, eye-wateringly expensive. All of the company. God, I had about 17 courses, rolled home, and then wondered why the morning after I'm 100 kgs plus, right? I mean, it's hard. You've got to sort of balance it. But someone took me one side, sort of putting it apart, and that's when he sort of uncovered the pudding thing that I have. And he's like, "Yeah, alcohol, no." Like, clients, "No, I'm pretty good at that. Like, I'm good at eating at the right time." And he's like, "What else?" And I was like, "Well, kind of like chocolate cake after every fucking meal." So,
Bruce
yeah.
Bogtrotter.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, there's a very funny story about that at Henley on that year. But yeah, he was like, "Look, D-Boss, I think you probably just maybe cut out pudding and we'll get you down to lean weight." And then
I did it my last year, 2015. I was coming in pretty heavy, like probably nice. Well, I was probably about 100 into the summer training camp, and I knew it was going to be my last Henley campaign. And I knew that every time we went there, number one, I smashed the puddings, and number two, I'd always hit up the Haribo shop like way too much. So I banned it. So 2 weeks, I didn't eat a single dessert, and I didn't have any Haribo, and it was probably one of the most miserable camps I've ever done.
That is exactly
Live
what I did.
for the pudding.
Oh, that's exactly what I did because you live. So we went again. Time to go on training camp. Go to Surler. Everyone's raving about the bloody puddings that are down there. How many puddings have been that day? And I was sat there with my bloody sort of salad and a bit of balsamic vinegar drizzled on, like just this is miserable. And everybody around you is like, "Stay there, and they have some cracking puddings down there." I mean, they look amazing. Didn't try a single one.
Sniff what?
Yeah, literally. People like walking past you like, "Whoa." So yeah, so I mean that works. And the funny thing is, when we won, I remember just like we crossed the line because he saw on the pond. It was like, "Son again." He's like, "Fucking pudding," and there's a photo of me.
Did you find some?
Yeah, no, I had a photo. I had a proper like Bruce Bogtrotter chocolate gatto from the HRR cafe, and I was just shoveling it in before I did anything else.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that was. I think like that year as well, because it was the last. Again, different mentality. I was like, right, I've got to be good on this one. I have to be really disciplined on things like the pudding, but just also like age, like things are creaking. Like I got really injured in the Christmas time and had to take a load of time off and couldn't train. I'm sort of coming back in the new year thinking, right, I've really got to be smart here,
Prehab.
stretching, all that sort of stuff. So, well, I ended up taking it one step further. Just went and booked in to see a physio every Wednesday, once a week. Purely maintenance.
Yeah.
So rocked up. Laura, luckily, lovely lady, ex-Thames Rowing Club member, physio, turned up every Wednesday. And that was the first time I rocked up. She's like, okay, so what's the problem? I was like, well, nothing's really the problem, but something is going to go wrong, I'm sure. Like, everything's hurting. So again, I think that sort of got me through for 6 months to Henley. It was just seeing the physio once a week.
Something big goes.
Yeah, something would fall off. But again, remember, I went down to Docklands to do a training session and we completely stuffed it as the first day. And the second day, I think they're really close to us, so they beat us. Probably beat us, to be honest. And Jamie, his coaching, sort of turned around and was like, lads, I don't care. Like, I'm a volunteer coach. You know, pull your fingers out. What are we all doing here? If you're not going to win, you need to have a chat to yourselves as a group for the second session and sort it all out until you do the performance you're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all got together with the 8 of us. I was probably telling out to the lads, be like, lads, I'm not being funny, but I'm seeing the physio once a week. I'm eating any pudding for about 3 months. Like, this is genuinely my last opportunity. Please, can we just fucking do it? Because I'm never going to be able to do it again. Like, give us a go. And fair play to them. Like, we're lucky enough with all those boys.
That's a great little one. I did the same thing. Yeah, we've told that story before. But my final seat race for the ladies' plate 8.
Yeah.
Long story short, Banksy told me I wasn't going to be seat racing, and then raced me in the first race. I lost to Francis. They then were like, "Oh, that wasn't what we expected." I think what they thought was that I'd beat Francis. Francis would beat Kieran.
Yeah,
and Kieran would go, because Kieran was fantastic in his day, but he'd come back really late to this campaign. But he knew he wasn't fit. He knew it was going to be a so on. Anyway, Francis beats me, and then they race Francis against Kieran, and Francis beats Kieran. So then the final seat race is me, and I was like, this is definitely going to be the last time. So we do the pre-pad, and then we go up to the top, and I'm like George is definitely there. I think Barney's there with someone else. And I just lay it out there, and I'm like, boys, if we don't win this race, it's the last race I'll ever do. This is the end of my rowing career. And like, please, if you've ever pulled for anyone in your life, like, please bring it for me. And we've talked about it before with George, and he was like, mate, that was not fair. That was not fair. Well, we got it, and I raced. And I think Kieran was quite happy because he just flew straight back to America like the next day, and he had a lot of other stuff going on, so it was fine. But yeah, no, that's a good one to pull out the bag when you're at the end. But you only get that when you're the elder.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean,
yeah?
I had bits hanging off me, and I was breaking, and really didn't think I had another opportunity. Again, it just hits differently. Like, it's just a different. And I kind of wish you had that sort of mentality at the beginning of your career, and you wonder what you could have done differently if you'd been thinking about that this might be the last. Your window opportunity is shutting very fast.
Well, hopefully this will inspire someone. So, like, when you started the racing season in your final year, was it quite emotional? Like, rocking up to Dorney and just like seeing all those like years you've raced there previously, like sort of like unfold in front of you and be like, shit, I might not get to do this too many more times.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, right? The funny thing about rowing lakes is they're mundane. Like, they're just straight bits of river with a bit of concrete around them, aren't they? Or straight lakes with bits of concrete around them. But there is something a bit different, like rocking up and you see the school tents have gone up. You see the Durham lads. You remember that one year you did X, you did Y, and you did the visitors that year. And
so you have that team talk for the race.
Yeah, it just does all. You remember, like, you may not be able to do it again, or you may not have this opportunity. You may not go through a campaign in the similar sort of way with a great group of guys you had a pretty good time with. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's really cliche and sounds a bit silly, but treat everyone like it's last. Like, treat every opportunity like it's the last opportunity, because you just don't know what's around the corner. An injury, like a really serious injury, might be around the corner. You just don't know. Not that you'd wish that on anyone or tempt fate, but like,
it's a good way to focus yourself. Yeah, and it's true. Like, nothing lasts forever, and most people don't get to choose quite often. Like, certainly with a sport like that, there's a point at which when you just you can't do this anymore, either because of work or injury or whatever it is. So yeah, no, that's a great piece of advice, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and then.
So how was the run in? Yeah, wanted to meet Marlow.
It was actually quite magical, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was, again, just an amazing group of people, like a phenomenal group of people. Again, the club is so good at like rooting everybody else in the club. It's such a warm, friendly atmosphere, and it was part of something really, really special. But very, very, very privileged. But it was quite amazing. We had some really good training camp. We had a good time. Pulled some half decent scores, but just had fun with the guys, and I think makes a massive difference. Like you said it before, like there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many things you can do. Rowing's fairly simple. Like it's not a complicated sport in the grand scheme. It's not tactics in the same way there is with like football or cycling and something like this. So it is about how you get most out of everybody, and just I think having a really great fun club atmosphere can only make that better. It's probably the main difference between being successful and being really successful. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of hiccups on the way. I mean, the week before Henley, my boss called me out to Denver in the US and was like, D-Boss, I need you to be in Denver with a partner. Go. I was like, oh my God. So like, don't want to get ill. Don't want to get stuck on a flight somewhere. I try and navigate that with work.
Again, like hotel room gym or something like that.
Probably one of the, the noddy, not the concept 2, but the noddy ergs. And just trying to do something and stay half fit and not get injured, not get ill.
And
Some lights.
amazing that Thames were like able to work with that. Just about.
Yeah, didn't really tell them at the time. I think tried to get away with it because it was literally like
the same.
but it was like a Monday to a Thursday, right? And I was like, oh, sorry, I'm away with work. And that is, I think, where Thames does really, really well is they are really flexible, understand the fact we've got these jobs. They don't finish all the time at 5:30. You've got to commute from somewhere. Other stuff happens, and it's about how do we make it all work around, and just that sort of flexibility, and again, that communication and trying to work out and support each athlete about how they can get the most out of the training program. But yeah, I had to rock up to Denver on a Monday morning to be with all our partners. And it was the week that Nuggets won, so it was even more mental week going on in Denver in its own right? Everybody wants to go out at a party, so it's impossible to get anywhere.
Temptations everywhere, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, people try and drag you out and be like, oh, D-Blods, we'll come out. No idea that regatta's in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And then flights home. There's obviously a storm all the way along the US, and the bloody flights are cancelled. So I did Denver to Detroit to Chicago to Boston to New York to London to get home, pinging around trying to work out. Because I had to be back, right? I can't miss Marlow regattas. Like the whole thing, a whole career bloody building up to this.
Yeah.
In both ways, and work over here, rowing over here, and I got to try and make it work. And that was just see the pants man and try not to get ill as well. I mean, that was a big thing, is you can't afford to get ill. I think
I love those, as difficult as they are in the moment, those are the things that teach you what you're capable of. Until you really, really need and want something and want to achieve something and put your mind to it, you don't realise that you can do 12 floats in a row. It's possible. No one wants to, but you can do it. Yeah.
That's what it takes. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. It goes back to carving out. I had to carve out and find how that bloody is going to make this work. Yeah. I had to be back. Luckily, it was all expensed. Company credit card.
But they're not like, why are you doing this? It's just like looking at your Google Maps history or whatever.
Yeah. Expenses are poor. The CFO needs to take you away to one side and have a chat to me.
Eating too many puddings.
Yeah, exactly.
How did Marlow go?
Marlow was good. We beat the Sydney guys by half length or something.
I saw that. Was only the Brooks boys got you.
Yeah.
You know you're doing well if it's only Brooks that can beat you.
Fair play to them.
But again, that's not to put them down, but being a student and doing a full-time rowing thing is very different from having a full-time job and doing it. They are able to commit in a way. They all live in the same place. They definitely all have every weekend off and definitely not doing anything. Yeah, there's no kids and wives, and for the most part,
you don't need to take annual leave in order to go on training camp. You just go. Yeah. There's not even a consideration in your
4 weeks off over Christmas, 4 weeks off over Easter.
A couple of exams kicking around, you're right.
Yeah, if you're unlucky. Marlow was good. So just what was the feeling in the boat then? It was like this is on.
Yeah, really, really interesting. I think it's again. We did Marlow. Sydney was sort of the main competition. They'd come over. We knew they'd come over for a week. They're going to be over for another 2 weeks, just training with the Brooks lads, I think, down at Wallingford. And again, what was really interesting, all the crews have done years gone by, and all the Henley regattas done the done by the sort of the Marlow to Henley regatta time is, if you've got pre-qualified, is a bit of dead time. Almost. It's a bit like I'm just waiting for the regatta to happen almost. Some people go down a bit early because it gets bouncy. Henley Regatta River just definitely gets some energy. It gets way bouncier during those 2 weeks run up to it. You've got too many people, like not too many people, way more people on it than normal.
Yeah, it's not nice.
You have to like relearn to row on it. But yeah, you ended up with that sort of dead time, and we sort of walked away from Marlow. And again, Jamie, coach, turned around and said, "Well, lads, like we've got 10 days. Everybody else is going to be doing nothing. Like we're going to definitely find 3 or 5 seconds. Go. We have to as well. We haven't been in Sydney by that much to do it again. So, yeah, totally understand why you just get a little bit. They did the same this year. They lost to London at Marlow, and I can guarantee they're down at Pangbourne and they found 3 to 5 seconds, and that's a 10-day dead window to sort of turn over a bit.
Pangbourne's a lovely stretch as well.
Yeah, never rode down there until
you can get some work done.
Yeah,
yeah,
lovely there, lovely little stretches. Again, amazing place. We're so lucky. We're so fortunate with all these places we've had to row. Again, in singles and all sorts. So, but yeah, the lads, we just pulled it out. Did some hard training out of 10 days, which were, again, it goes back to this sort of classic Henley campaigns. You're all in the house together. You're all getting stuck in. You're playing PlayStation. Like,
Nice.
I don't think I've played PlayStation for about 15 years from the first campaign with all the boys. We still talk about playing PlayStation, and we come back into this year playing again with these boys.
The place we used to have an Xbox, and it was always Halo, and there was always the arguments about who's screen watching. Is that screen watching?
So funny. So fun.
Oh yeah, like and you're right. Like early on, these, when you're at school, it's just like, oh yeah, like school trips and stuff. I go away on a training camp, and they seem like they're quite, 10 to the dozen, 12, whatever the expression is. But I think the further you get along, the more you realise how rare it is to get to spend that amount of time with the boys, even just a week together, and like you said, have that single-minded focus and nothing else to worry about. And it's one of the things I miss about rowing so much is that every single decision was made so easy. And it's like, will it make the boat go? Is it going to be good for my rowing? No, then I'm not doing it. And actually, life, it's difficult physically, but in terms of like having to just, well, how much should I go out? Well, should I go out for a Friday enter? No, I'm rowing. Whereas now you're like pulled in all these different directions, all these decisions to make. Look back and think that that's a really rare time when you're just like, this is the one thing.
Yeah, when you have competing priorities, that's the big thing. And it's really clear about what the decision is. And also just hanging out with some of your best mates for 7 days back to back and just have a bit of a laugh. Like, that's the other thing that I think sometimes you forget about is it's not necessarily about winning. It's not necessarily about doing really well. Sometimes it's just, you've just got an opportunity to hang out with some of the guys you like, achieving something that you set out to do, whether it's, you try and you might fail and you learn from that and you pick it up and you try and do better next year or next time, or you go and overachieve and achieve those goals. We do your best mates, you're doing it with, with just that one singular priority in mind. Not many walks of life that you get to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe outside of a school environment.
Yeah.
I think that's the draw of rowing, definitely for adults. It's like those moments on training camps, literally just like what you're describing. As much fun as you might have in your day-to-day job, you're never going to do that sort of stuff outside of work. Everyone's got busy lives, kids and whatnot. Someone has to commute 2 hours to work. There is really something special about rowing. I completely agree, yeah.
No, we've laughed about, like, if you're on a good training camp, there's not going to be any Wi-Fi or internet. You can put your phone down. That's not happening. So you have to all be there, be present, get stuck in, depending on what level you're at. Maybe you're cooking your own food, everyone's in the kitchen. Yeah, it's amazing. So you must have been pretty heavy favourite going into the event.
The draw comes out and you're like, shit.
Yeah, I think so. I felt like...
Was it something you thought about? Was it really just let's process day by day?
Yeah, again, it's quite meticulous. Jamie, some of the JPD, those guys, Mappy, all the guys down at Thames, you've got the process. Just go do it, execute, and move on to the next day. It was quite interesting. We had the first couple of races. We sort of raced Agecraft. Who else do we have? I'm just trying to remember now. It was all a bit of a blur because you just sort of get meticulous, not really focusing on that, if that makes sense. But all those guys did everything everyone does. They throw the kitchens in, count the first 100 meters, and you just say cool, calm, collected, and then you start rowing and go off, and you just do your best race. But we sort of walked away from the Friday, met together in the house, knowing we had the Sydney. Then those lads the next day, this is going to be this is a hard race. This is going to be the really, really tough one.
You thought that was sort of the final?
Yeah. And it's quite, go back to what you said earlier about, you ask the lads, or tell the lads how you're getting on, tell everyone how you're getting on with the race. We'll talk about it before you sort of see the results of the numbers. But this one was sort of the other way around. We saw the numbers, but nobody sort of paid attention to them. And everyone sort of going around the room like, how was that row? And not great, the rest of the Hitchcock guys, but yeah, she wasn't that much of a great row. And eventually came to me, and I think this is like could be the last races we do. Maybe the last race we win. We don't win tomorrow. And I was like, I think it's bloody brilliant, lads. And they were sort of looking at me like, what do you mean, D-Bods? Like, wasn't that great? I was like, well, look at the times. Like, it's a bit of a headwind. We're about a second off the record that stood for about 40 years. We can't have been that bad. We're going quite quick. And, records are set in fast conditions. So, and it's not as if we had massively fast conditions today. I think we did it right. I don't know. Everyone sort of turned around and was like, oh, yeah, maybe you're all right, D-Bods. Maybe we did do all right. And we're going quite quick. So I was like, this is great. I'm here for a great ride. And then, maybe I made a bit different. Maybe there was a little bit of belief in there or something. But, Race of Sydney, guys, we just put everything down as you do in these sorts of races.
What was the verdict?
3/4 length, maybe, half length.
Okay, good ride.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, those boys did a phenomenal job. Pushed us bloody hard all the way down. Can't fault them for that. But it's Henley, right? It's Henley gods. You got to pray to them for the draw.
Was it ever in doubt?
What was the feeling then after having Saturday? Once you've done Saturday, like, right, we're in the final.
Yeah, I think
that sense of like the job's done now.
Yeah, pressure's off, and in some sense, pressure does one of two things: you either crack under it, or you form a diamond, right? And I think it had sort of the latter effect, where it's massively galvanised us, and you just rock up to Sunday and you feel like you're unbeatable.
Do you have a problem with nerves generally?
No, I just quite enjoy. I sit on the start line. I think this is amazing. Like, it's great fun. Like, how lucky we are to be able to just race, and it is such bloody great fun. And you've done all this training, you've done thousands of hours, you've deleted yourself on those ergs in the middle of the winter, and it's great fun. I mean, my big thing is I have a bit of a twinge in my back, and the physio messaged Laura, and she said, "Oh, good luck for tomorrow. How are you feeling?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm all right. You got any exercises?" "Yeah, just got a bit sore." And she says, "What time are you racing?" And I was like, "I think it's about 11 o'clock." She was like, "I'll be there." And so Laura turned up on the Sunday morning regatta at 6:30, and there I am getting a rub down and a bit of treatment on Sunday morning to make sure I get in the boat again. I mean, again, fair play to her.
My last Henley campaign last week, I was by far the oldest guy on the crew, and it was my last as well. I mean, we had quite a new physio, and I sort of talked previously a lot about like what we'd done to fix the things that was part of my body and whatever. And he was like, "Okay, yeah, but we're not going to. The plan now is just to get you to the end of this week. So this is going to be like a very different. We're not trying to like release everything and see what happens. We're just going to get you into the next 5 days and just like bringing the little timeline down." I was like, "Yeah, no, this is definitely going to be the last one."
Yeah, you just got to hang everything together.
That was awesome though that she came down.
She's amazing. Yeah, turned up, rocked up a bed. She just find me a ticket for the day. I'll be there.
And version.
Yeah, she turned up. Amazing. But yeah, I think then that day in its own right. I mean, going down on the finals. Finals day is very different, right? And so even just the weekend's a bit different because you go into the boat tents and there's hardly any boats there. Lots of people are packed up suddenly, and you sort of hit sort of Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, you suddenly realise. And then sort of Sunday morning you rock up and it's like, this is the last. The boat bay is almost completely empty. You can see almost every other crew that's in there all the way across it. Like, it is a very different feeling. It's a bit quiet on Sunday, kind of like that. You've got all the sort of corporate events are no longer there on the Sunday. Depending on what time your racing is, it can be a bit busy or it can be quite busy, but it won't be sort of mad. And yeah, I think we got to, we watched the video back, we got to about 300 metres before the finish line, and we were all looking at it like this, having a great time. Smiling, having a look at everyone, and fair play to the Dutch crew, the hoop guys. They put a good old ding dong down for the sort of first 700 metres, and then it was just nice to bring it home, not fucking up, really.
That was it. Just bring it home.
Just make sure you get over the line in one piece. So,
and crossing the finish line.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a bit weird, actually. Like, all the other lads going nuts and celebrating. I sort of sat there and like, have we definitely won? I want to make sure we definitely won. I'm not like,
Is that white flag going?
yeah, like, no Boris Rankov for the DQs. But no, yeah, it's a bit weird. And suddenly all sort of hit, and you see your family, you see your friends, your really best mates. You suddenly done it. It's a bit weird actually. In the funny nothing else I've experienced before. And then I don't remember much. I had the chocolate cake, which was probably the most important piece from Sonder and everyone. And then you just enjoy. It's a bit of a surreal feeling on that sort of Sunday afternoon when you're having a glass of champagne and seeing your family, your friends. I mean, the defining moment for me was my brother, who's a complete non-rower, right? Plays hockey like dad. Non-rower, he's hated rowing. Like, I think he's hated it because he's got dragged along to a couple of them. I mean, he's like bawling his bloody eyeballs out. I'm like, mate,
it's not a spectator.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm like, hey God, like, why do you care? And he's like, I'm just so glad I don't have to go to another bloody rowing event again. But no, he's again, it's just that surreal, weird, and you sort of walk into prize giving, and there's those other people, and you're on the wrong side of it, if that makes sense, because you're looking out everywhere. Normally you're in the crowd cheering somebody on. So yeah, it's just enjoy it and soak it up.
What did it mean to get the red box? Like, what was that to you in terms of career, looking back? And
yeah, I think at the time it was a bit of belief, like it was a bit, I can do it. Yeah, if you really actually play the percentages, like you have to just do enough Henley campaigns. You can't win. You're not going to win the first one you do unless you're Nick Milton or Jack Beaumont, right? Like, you're not just going to win all of them.
Okay.
They're unicorns in the grand scheme of things. But you've just got to do enough to be successful enough. Is the first game. The second game is you just have to do the miles, do the training. Third game is you probably got to pick the club that's going to have a decent chance of doing well. And then the fourth one is you've got to get a bit lucky. Like, if it's been really rainy at Henley, whether we like it or not, there's a conveyor belt on that inside track. Like, it can be worth half a length. Right, the draw counts. Like, you do just have to be lucky in that sense. And you've been on the other
both sides. Yeah, I've won by 6 feet and lost by a foot, and I'm happier having looked back and having the amazing close races were better, were the best thing anyway. I can't really. We managed to leave everything. We didn't have anything go wrong in our race. It sucks at the time, but you look back and go, oh, that was everything. That was everything I could have done. Yeah.
Yes. And then, I think if you know you've done everything you can and you still lose, that's okay.
Yeah.
But rowing's a bit of a funny one where the sort of magnitude of losing is way bigger than the magnitude of winning, if that makes sense. Like, it has way more to lose than it does to feel good winning, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
And it lasts longer.
Yeah.
The hurt lasts longer than the
bitter.
Yeah.
Number of times, and you've got like pictures like this stuck up in a rowing, inside the gym, being like, "Yo, this at the end of the year, lads. Like, remember what it was like last year to lose." Those sorts of that sort of mentality.
We did it, one year when I remember which one, when we lost by 6 feet. Then the next year, our coach had each of us had an American Uni first aid picture, which we would stick to the bottom of the monitor for every ergo. And it was just like, right, Brown, you're getting it.
Get revved up.
Every ergo, yeah.
Love it. Yeah, everyone's attacking it.
And how, because I think, I'm going to get on because I know you've done the John Candy Cool Runnings quote, which I absolutely love. But I think a lot of people pin the box on, if I get the box, then people will think that I was a good, and I did this thing I think a lot for myself, still in my GB career, like when my back and my body was failing, it was still like, well, but I have to achieve this because then then this will have been worth it because other people will think I'm good enough. And I sort of eventually came to the conclusion that as long as I'm happy with how good I was, I might not have a plate medal, but who's got that close? In 2012, we lost the plate in a faster time than both grand finalists. Like, we were quick, and it took me a long time to have the confidence enough in myself to say that. And then, that's the quote, isn't it? I'll let you say it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is. I think for me, before the quote, but for me personally, it's how you measure yourself. What is my measure of success about what I'm doing here? I think, again, split sort of brain, split dichotomy here, which is I want to do as well as I can, But also the way I sort of externally measure myself is, did I win this race or did I not win this race? It's quite binary, like
That's sport.
Yeah. And then obviously then you win at a time, it's a weird feeling afterwards. It feels like you've done it, you've achieved it. It feels absolutely amazing. But actually, you look back on it and you realise that it's not, maybe it's really easy for me to say this, right? Having finally done it. But I look back and go, well, that Henley Road Club crew, the lads, with Joe Long and those boys, or, the Durham guys, or at Abingdon, or, maybe that's what it's all about, really, that sort of journey and being with the guys, because that's the bits I remember, and I think Dave Bell said it on one of the ones here, where he sort of, well, write down all these stories, because I remember them, and that's what's really funny. It's the little stories around it that make sense. So it's, for us, it was, Call of Duty in the houses, right? It was smashing some pudding afterwards. Like, it wasn't necessarily the winning. Obviously, winning is the most amazing thing on one level, but actually what I remember is just having an amazing group of people to be friends with, sharing sort of silly stories. Because, the quote is, if you're not enough without one, then you'll never be enough with one. And he's referring to the medal, right? You'll never be enough without the medal. And it's kind of right. Like, it's everything else that builds up to the medal is just the cherry on the top, the sprinkles. It's the meat of everything that's gone on is the friendships and everything you've learned along the way is unlocking a bit of yourself, right? Like, going back to that Warhammer kid, age 12, like, I don't know, like, maybe I couldn't have done it if you have that sort of mentality and mindset and you looked at it at that moment in time. But actually, throughout that journey, we've learned so much along the way that's definitely changed me. Pete and Athol definitely have a massive formation or massive impact on me forming an individual. Loads of lessons you learn along the way and turning into that person you're going to be, and whether that's taking out to a lot of work, whether it's just to be with friends, and whatever it might be, it doesn't really matter, but it's definitely that. It's way more about journey. I sort of look back and remember those singular moments in the journey rather than necessarily the big moment of the race. Like, I can't really remember who raced in some of the sort of early rounds. It was a little bit of process, a little bit what we're doing, but it's mainly because I was with the guys. I remember I was having a good time and having a bit of a laugh about it.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Awesome. I love to hear it. It's really cool to hear. And I think, that's an important point. And I think sometimes it's the process of going to the win that you realise it's the other things that were really worth as much as that medal, whether you got it or not. And I would have loved to have done better at sport, but I wouldn't trade any of my friendships and experiences. If someone came down and said, "No, you can have the Olympic gold, but you can't have any friendship. You can't keep any friends. You can't have any." No thanks. No, that's what it was all about.
Yeah, like this final year, I haven't rowed since the final, and mainly because other things going on in life, and I spent a long time trying to do it, and so there is an element of just fatigue on that level. But I really, really miss hanging out with the guys on a Saturday afternoon, on a Friday evening. Like,
people ask me, what I miss about rowing, and I'm thinking about it a lot. Or what I liked about rowing. Don't really like early mornings. Don't like rain. Don't like the cold. Don't really like training. Don't like ergo testing. Don't enjoy racing. Don't massively like training camps. Don't enjoy having fucked up hands or being sore all the time. Like, fucking love being around that, being in that gang and being part of that gang and being in the trenches. That's what it's about. Yeah. Awesome.
Where do you keep your red box now? Where does it live?
Oh, a couple of different places, actually. You've got yours up.
It wasn't. It was locked, and my parents didn't let me have it for about 10 years. They locked
Really?
it in their safe at home because I was living in all sorts of random crappy house, and they were just like, "No, you're not having it." So just go back to my parents' house and like open the code and like look at it and go, "Oh, it's still there."
So mine sits on my desk at work. Every now and then I'll kick it open. It's a bit silly, but like, just if you're struggling at work, something, I don't know if I could do this, or I'm struggling with some motivation. Like, well, maybe I can. I've got there's evidence here. But my mum's the same as well. My mum's like, when I go home on the weekend, she's like, "Make sure you bring your valuables, bring your Henley medal with you."
Yeah.
And so it lives in my work laptop bag sometimes because I take that around with me most of the time. And I realised I flew to South Africa a couple of weeks ago to go see developers, and I'd blown it all the way out there. And I opened up the bag and I saw, I really probably shouldn't have this here, but it's been all over the shop in reality.
So I can get a little chain on it. I have the medallion.
But it's not there in a sort of, what's the word? Sort of
crystal cage. You're not showing it off.
Yeah, it's not showing off. It's purely out of sort of accidental and safe, like not losing it more than anything else. Like, can't go AWOL if it's in a bag somewhere.
Yeah.
Attached to me. Whereas, so hang on to it. But yeah, it's for years I had the sort of thing about not seeing what Henley medal looked like until you'd won one. Which not sure I recommend doing because it makes it a bit weird when you do open it up. As a superstition thing.
Why is that?
I just felt a bit superstitious. Like George Roster was really superstitious. George Roster used to have lucky socks, right? And then he wouldn't wear them on a race that he knew he was going to lose or didn't think he could definitely win. So they were always lucky socks, right? And he
doesn't really.
No, I don't know. But it's funny. It's funny the way we do it. But he had a superstitious thing where he's like, don't look at one. You can't. No, I don't want to see one until it's the one that you've earned. So I don't know.
Yeah, you make these little things up.
Weird superstition things, and it like hung and it stuck with me as well.
Some of the things you just make, they sort of like help you get up for an event. You know, I only wear this kit on race day or whatever it is. Yeah, there's sort of little things that help you get into the mindset.
Yeah, like I never used to train in the Whiteley and the all-in-one. I was race day only.
Yeah,
I feel like crystal white. I feel like a privilege wearing.
I never train in a World's all-in-one as well. Yeah,
yeah,
ever.
I guess for you, the World's all-in-one was my like. Yeah, like your best on you there.
Same process. Yeah.
Cool. Before we move on to quick fire round questions, I've just got one question. How's Vandelbord going?
Oh, the camper van.
Yes, mate. You think you could get away from here without me asking you about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the conversion. So I bought that literally the week after Regatta.
I was going to say, was this like, I'm not going to row anymore. I'll have so much free time.
Oh, God, 100%. So my girlfriend Ellie's in the team.
Yeah.
So her and I doing it together. So she's chief design officer, head of procurement. I'm just the labourer. I just do as I'm told. I'm like, yes, boss.
You got a timesheet?
Yeah, we do. We actually have a timesheet. 100% have a timesheet. We've got this whole spreadsheet with like what we spent on it. So I watering him out. So we've got the timesheet, what days we worked on, who's worked on that, how many people, like hours. Because we just want to work out like, yeah, and like, that's proper.
I love it.
We've got all the photos, update the Instagram, and now I'm terrible at that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's good fun. It's a completely different challenge. And I think I've attacked it a bit like rowing as well, where it's like 100% all the time. And like, we'll finish on a Sunday night at like 9 o'clock at night and then wonder why we react to work on Monday mornings. So I'm trying to get a bit better at that, but yeah, completely different challenge. Bloody great fun. Yeah, we're driving it to Italy next week, I think.
Sick. So, you're going to take your
long journey.
You're going to take the red box with you?
I think that I can go. Try and leave. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that probably. Leave it at Mother Dad's safe, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. Quick fires. Out of all the rowing venues that you've trained at, raced at, or visited, what are some of your favourites?
Crikey, what are some of my favourites? It's not going to be very quick fire, isn't it? I mean, Henley's something different about it because, especially if you row there when the course is not up, it is a very different river and it's actually amazing. And it is quite phenomenal when you row along. But I think there's one I rowed once from Henley to Marlow, and there's a couple of bits down. You go through, I just single through the lock. There's a couple of bits as you go along that are quite amazing, picturesque. There's a beautiful piece where it's sort of near Bourne End where it sort of comes out really, really wide. So yeah, I think just the Thames in general, when it's not filled full of crap, is a really phenomenal river.
Any love for the Tideway or?
Oh, Tideway's fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Tideway's fucking it is grim. I think the grimmest thing about it is it's just so big and vast. Loads of crews up and down there. I think also rowing for Thames, I hate Thames. I hated us who rowing down there. So London would be like slamming past on the launch, like sending wash you away as well. Like, it's just, you just got to suck out, haven't you? Really?
Yeah.
Thames, the Thames River without a doubt.
Cool. That's a good answer. If you were to repeat one race or one event again when you're 60 or 70, what would it be and why?
Pin one event.
And it can either because you would like to have a different outcome or because you just like to relive the way it happened.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I think there's so many of them, and there's also you sort of forget about because it didn't go so well, and you sort of put it in there, chalk it up as experience. I think we'll probably toss up between two. So one, again, it's really cliche, but that Belmont Hill race, not because of necessarily the outcome in on the sort of the score sheets, but just a bit of belief. Like we all learn, we can do this. Like if we're down a bit, we can do it. It is possible, and we're all of us are just normal blokes. So I think to sort of relive that and relearn that in some senses is pretty phenomenal. But I think probably one of the events of that young old Henley crew, to be honest, because that was great fun. Those lads learned loads. We learned loads from those young lads, and I just look back and love that one. So yeah, probably one of those two on the
good one.
day.
I think like we were saying, having heard that again, I think that's a great bit of advice for anyone who maybe is at the back end of their own career and that has maybe not enjoyed it as much, is get in a boat with some younger athletes, pass on some of the wisdom and feel like one of the old heads for once.
Yeah, I mean, they make you feel young.
So that as well, yeah.
That was bloody great fun.
My question is, if you could travel back in time to the age you were when you first fell in love with rowing, what advice would you give that young lad?
It's probably that age when I was like probably 20, 21. I mean, just done that building work, then gone off to Durham and was trying to kill myself. And I think probably two bits of advice would be focus. Right, you've got to pick. You've got to say no to stuff and focus on what you're doing. But also to make sure you have a bit of a laugh about it and put yourself in an environment that has a bit of a laugh. So I think it's quite easy to beast yourself, think you do the right thing, but actually, as I said earlier, I think part of probably what Brooks has got right, part of what Newcastle definitely got right, and when we were at uni, part of what I think tend to get right is everybody has a great time and really enjoys it, and so sort of success breeds success from there. Probably that.
Good advice, definitely.
Yeah, I love that. One last question. Who are some of your rowing idols or the people you've looked up to either during or post your rowing career?
I'm allowed to say you two boys.
Oh, mate.
Shut up. It's no extra brownie points for that.
A bit of.
Well, I mean, there's maybe a Colin the Caterpillar cake coming next time you're on the show. I'll just be in the middle of the table. Dan, answer the question.
My face full of it. Chocolate smeared all over. I think probably one lad, Pete Haining, probably. Again, probably sounds really cliche, but one of the lads to look up to. But I think he's really good at just unlocking that sort of self-belief and that bit of sort of nutty behaviour, that sort of bonkers, where you could just be a bit loopy. And
I like those coaches where you get it doesn't feel like they're teaching you anything. It feels like they're just getting you out of your own way. They'll always talk to you in a way where you come to the conclusion, okay, but if you did that? Oh, so you want to do that. So what? It's never like you need to do this to succeed. They kind of find this way to make you think like, it's like the light bulb thing. I'm like,
a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. You got to lead that person to the destinations. And if they connect the dots, they're going to then own that and be like, yes, I did that.
Yeah.
So they're perfect.
Yeah. He's definitely one to be like, how might you do this?
Yeah.
Like, what's the problem? Tell me what your problem is. And just half the time he told them what the problem was. Like, I can't do this. I can't lift this way. Or I can't do that. He's like, so what are you going to do about it? I'm like, well, I'm probably just going to give it a go again and train a bit harder and come back tomorrow. Like, it's quite simple in the grand scheme of things. But I think he also just, I don't know how to explain it, but like, just have this amazing ability to generate in that group of lads, just this utter self-belief and ability just to train really hard and push yourself beyond the boundaries that you thought you were capable of, like really quickly. So yeah,
we've got to get him on.
Yeah, definitely. I've got him on LinkedIn, so he's going to happen at some point.
Oh, we'll drop him a text and.
Well, that'd be good. Yeah.
If you want to say, hey, it was great fun, you should get him in.
Yeah.
What a super thing.
Epic. Dan, look.
Am I allowed to ask you boys one question?
Yeah, mate. Whatever you want. Treat yourself.
Your favourite rowing experiences? You can't say Kingston yesterday.
Oh, mate.
That's what you got to react.
It was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, first race in 8 years. But I'll think of something else.
I mean, I think I've talked about it so much. I think it's my Thames Cup campaign. And that was the first year out of school. It was the first time that we gave everything to rowing, and there was no promise of ever anything. It wasn't my job. I didn't make money out of it. I wasn't trying to, it didn't matter. I didn't do any GB at school anyway or any of that. So it was just all to play for and nothing to lose. I was young enough that I didn't need to be doing something anywhere else. I didn't need to be thinking about a career. I could physically and mentally just commit myself in a way. And I turned up with that group, and we had Sachi and Ali Webb and Dave Barhams. That was some of my best friends. And the first session we did in the 8, Brian Armstrong was like, right, boys, this year we're gonna go and win the Thames Cup. And we were just, someone who's, I think Ben Lewis explained it. It was like, there was only 9 people that day that didn't know they were supposed to lose. And like everyone else on the bank had it to them. And they'd beaten us easily at Met. And like, we shouldn't have, but we did because we believed we could. I think what you were saying, like just that belief. I remember sort of finishing that winning on Saturday and just being like, such a strange sense of, right, like part 1 done, now the final. And yeah, I think that was the best, absolutely the best bit. And it's weird because we chased the money and the GB vests and all that stuff, and it was amazing to, oh my God, someone's paying me to row. But then all of a sudden, like, now it's your job. And now, you're not just getting on the podium because you want a medal, you're getting on the podium because you want to get paid to do this again next year. And there's a great quote from someone asked it in Senna when was his favourite time, what was his favourite racing. And he was like, back in Brazil as kids, when we just did it because we wanted to win and there was no other reason. It wasn't about anything else. Yeah, that'll always be the best year of rowing I ever have, I reckon.
Yeah, it's like, again, I think for me, it's that campaign word. A campaign isn't a 4-day or a 5-day thing, right? It's a long period of time where you dedicate yourself to a single goal. And I think that is what makes it. And it's that cherry at the top is the end.
It was a struggle. It wasn't plain sailing. Yeah, we lost our biggest rivals 3 weeks before. But, our coach had a bad back. He went down. There was some weird stuff that, like, actually part of the reason we won was Ben Lewis. I'm convinced. We were out at summer training camp. Brian couldn't come out because his back was knackered. So we had Ben coaches for a couple of days. And then Davy Jones, sorry for everyone who's heard this story already, for the amount of times I've spoken about the podcast. Davy Jones in the bow seat got heat stroke. So Ben Lewis ends up jumping in the boat. And he's just, like, he's only been in the boat about 2 minutes. Like, Tom Clark, what the fuck are you? That is not a catch. And he just had me at the top end doing donuts on my own. Like, no, get your fucking blade. And just, Brian was lovely, but he was lovely and sweet and nice. And Ben was just like, you guys got fucking do this and that. And there's nothing that focuses you on a summer camp, like having just lost to your biggest rival. Like there was such a insane amount of focus every day. It was like, we need to find time. And we fucking worked so hard. And we got lucky enough. We made it happen. I think you could have run that race 10 times and maybe we'd lost it 9. Who knows?
Did you do it with the travelator on that?
We were on the outside.
Yeah, even better, probably.
It wasn't a high stream year.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. The travelator.
No.
I guess, would you have felt the same had you not won?
I don't think it would have, for exactly what we talked about. Like, everything that I look back on that year has not really got anything to do with the gold medal. Like, it was great that we won it in the end. But if we put down our best performance, I think I would have been happy. And it certainly would. I then, at 19, was not club eligible. And the gap between club and intermediate was huge. So I then just faffing about for 2 years, not able to get into a good crew. I had a couple of shit crews, shit campaigns, back injuries and things like that. And like, there's a huge gap. So like maybe it would have gone a different way, but I wouldn't change that year for anything, that's for sure.
Cool.
What about you, Pete?
So my answer is not going to be anywhere near as glamorous as Tom's, because obviously we come from like different places, but I was a kid who took up this sport that I didn't even know what it was until like 3 months of like training. I had no idea about like going out on the water. I just loved erging, and it wasn't a very big club, fairly historical, but like very often we'd have like 3 boys to a quad. So we'd go out with our coach and all those things. So he was a sweeper, so it wasn't any better either. So like then when I rocked up to Leander, I remember my first year, and it was just like every Wednesday afternoon after we'd go back from college, we'd have just pieces and would go and muck about in singles. There's about like 16 boys just going out and just having fun racing singles around the Henley stretch. Like, October time, misty, flat, glass water. Like, those were probably like some of the best times. Like, just those first like 3 to 4 months. Also learning a new language, not knowing anyone, like making all those friends. And, that was pretty epic. I guess from that period of time as well, another cool experience that I really get, stuck in my mind was like doubles matrix. I've never done doubles matrices before. And it was like December and I wasn't really like near the top. I probably was about like in the middle of the squad, let's say. Probably like one of the first people for the second quad. And then we had like, I remember there was Will New, Monty Norman and Miles Cutting, shout out to all of them. And it was just us four, I was just doing pieces and like on paper, all of them were just killing me. I just remember like turning up and the car was motivating us. I think you were doing the timing or something like that.
I was the coach as well, obviously that's why we're talking about this shit.
Yeah.
What the hell am I doing coaching sculling? It was crap.
Yeah, so I just remember just like, it's quite cold and like in between races we'd have like frozen droplets like on gates, etc. I just thought it was super cool because like in Poland you can't row during the winter. Like you just have to be off the water. You got to be on the air. Everything's properly frozen. But it was like -5. We're still like going out. We're doing pieces, etc. And then the next day, Carl Reed, shout out, best coach. Sorry, Tom.
No, I hate that.
Peter, what are you doing?
Yeah, he just sends the spreadsheet with results. And I just came second. And I obviously smashed some boys who just like miles better than me at that time. I guess doubles, that's why doubles my favorite bike. But like, I will look back on that and it was just like, the music I was listening to, how I was hyping myself up, walking to training, sort of the vibe, the feeling of like, oh my God, this is my first ever Henley campaign. Like, what's ahead of me? Can I do the international racing this year maybe? And whatnot. Like, I'll forever miss that.
You definitely also described a sort of self-belief moment. That moment when you didn't know if you were good enough and finding that result was like that. Maybe I could, maybe I am, maybe this could happen.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a similar thing from all three of the stories.
Yeah. No, I like that. So if you ask me, those two things in particular definitely stand out.
And it's not the medals. It's never the medals.
I could never understood how you can get satisfied with a medal because like, yeah, you're happy with it. 5 minutes, you're allowed some grace time. Like, what's next? And it's not like I'm choosing to like ignore it and be like, what's next? I know this is just like what's inside. So like, I couldn't ever like look. That's why all of mine, I don't even know what they are, to be honest. All of my medals from rowing, apart from the one that I won yesterday, but that's still in my room. But yeah, the process is way more enjoyable, I guess, than the result. Because the result is just a statement on a piece of paper, but the process are the memories, are the vibes, the smell, the room, the chat, and that bit, and like just like you said, you go to Dorney and you're like, remember when we had that pre-race chat over there, and those sorts of things. Like, yeah, getting a bit emotional, but like I think that's definitely it.
It's good. I think it's a good theme from everything we've talked about today about doing it for the right reasons and how to get back there when maybe you've lost your way, how to balance wanting to perform but not letting it be the only focus. I think all those things are like awesome. I think that's why we wanted to speak to someone who had done it so long in so many different clubs and so many different versions, and to have had the cherry on the top, the thing that all club rowers aim for, and to still look back and go, but this was what made it special. That's really cool for other people to hear.
Well, awesome. Hopefully, yeah.
Wow, for sure.
So, thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks for showing, gents.
So lovely to see you. Lovely to see you as well, mate. It's been a while since we caught up. I remember you showing me like some Python scripts back in the day. Just like when you came back from uni.
Desperately trying to be a developer.
Yeah.
Not good at that.
Well,
so they put me out in sales.
You're in sales. I'm struggling with sales. I'm the developer. So team up. But yeah, no, it's been so awesome to have you on. Like I said before we started recording, like this is like one of those like drunken night out sort of chats that actually like comes to fruition, which is perfect. And definitely at some point we're going to have to get you back on again with Colin the Caterpillar.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we'll bring desserts. We'll have a dessert special.
I'll bring my own, to be honest. We can all have one.
Yeah. So maybe a
Thanks,
pal.
gents. I really appreciate it. Thanks for giving up a Monday afternoon, Monday evening.
Nah, it's been awesome.
Come and have a bit of a chit chat.
Do it again, mate. I'll do it again. Maybe a paddle tape bell.
Yeah.
That'll be sick. But anyway, that concludes everything for today's episode. So on that note, easy there.
Cue the music.